portal got taken. I was like, he's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, fucking moron.
You say you're gonna go live, Sam?
Yeah, I just went, but I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick while you
Bet.
get this dub, Carlos. I believe in you.
Dude, the like timbre in Sam's voice when he's sick is crazy.
Is this the hallway? If this is the hallway, I'm goated. Never mind.
Jump head, yeah, jump muscle, yeah.
Let's see where the zone goes. That's really where what'll come into play.
I owe you one kit retrieval if you make it out of here, regardless of my own safety. That's real.
Yeah, I get
We're
one.
redeemable at any point. Dude, I wish you could have seen what happened from my POV. I chased that cleric down into that back little hall. He tried to judge me and I chopped him. And right as I did, a 3-man just came up to the door next to me and I was hiding, ratting. And then they turned around for a circle and I just started chopping.
Oh wait, you know what? I should do this first.
Hey, how you doing, guys? How you guys doing? Dude, dark and darker, am I right? This game fucking rocks. I see a lot of...
I'm back, bitch.
What's this called? Hankering for Tarkov, but I'm not feeling it. I'm sorry. There's too many other little games out. I just didn't feel like dedicating that much time to Tarkov. If that's all right. Am I sick again? Yeah. By the way, those of you that are wondering about the why it's the 11th and we haven't had a podcast, my birthday was on the 5th, and so I was like, hey, I'm gonna fucking hang out, you know, on birthday and everything, and then I started to get sick and losing my voice and stuff, and so I was like, we're gonna record one last night, and I was like, I didn't feel good.
Kisses.
So we're gonna do one Monday with Charboard, possibly. Hopefully. I know Make-A-Wish kids with a better immune system, not gonna lie. Yeah, dude. It's them little fucking kids, dude. My kids fucked me up. Hold on, let me put on a... By the way, in game, we're watching Carlos, the man. Carlos the gardener. He's desperately trying to get through the fucking hell tier level with Lettuce's shit. He has all of Lettuce's gear, and the prospects of him getting back are pretty slim. Let's check in with him. Hey, Carlos, how's it going? Do you think you're gonna make it out?
If the zone is nice to me, yeah.
Do you have any... Wait, is this the room where you have to jump across the thing and then it hurts you if you fall?
Yep.
And I totally didn't fall just now. Trying to dodge the bats.
To be fair, the bats knocked you off. I don't know if you fell.
Okay.
Stinky.
Oil lantern.
Yeah, so he's doing good. I think he'll make it. He's not gonna make it. I doubt. So we 100% won't see this taken back down. Does anyone know? Let me tell you something. I know now. Here's the thing, is that I'm a skeptic, right? And everybody fucking throws me under the bus every time Dark and Darker is brought up. They're like, it's back up. Sam, they're selling it. That lawsuit means nothing. I'm like, if it means nothing, why ain't it on Steam? Okay? I'm not going to pretend to know anything about South Korean law. But I think they're a very business-first oriented country. And I feel like they might side with Nexon for some reason. I don't know. If there was no issue, it would just be up on Steam. But there's obviously still issue. I think there's still the looming threat that they might take it down any moment. They even say at like when you first get in here. I think there's like a little window that pops up and it says like, this might not be around forever. Okay. So when you buy this game, I guess consider it a donation to their legal fund, if you want to think of it that way. Oh, but thanks for the wait, hold on. Rules Forever. Thanks for the resub. And a Gates and Silent X Rose and a Great Pineapple. Thank you for the resub. Why does Sand sound like a man this stream? Dude, I sound just like Lettuce. Me and Lettuce sound exactly like each other now.
No.
Sorry, I just started streaming, so I wanted to talk chat a little bit. I don't think I'm not neglecting you. We were cheering you on the entire time.
Wait, where did that go?
I don't know.
Portal open.
I think it sounded like it was above you. Is there a
Oh,
way?
you might be
oh
right.
yeah,
No, you might be
staircase to your right. Yeah, go staircase. Oh, you're good.
What does the flute do?
Fuck no, dude. Fuck that room. That room sucks.
Oh, I got
Gonna
a
be
little
a
mute
skeleton
button.
archer up here.
Oh, you heard that to your left.
Sam really must be sick of his
Yeah,
thinking
They're all
subs.
good.
Fuck
Where
off.
are they?
In the corner. Above
I think,
you,
oh, I
maybe?
think I woke up those ones
Yeah.
up above me.
Oh,
Come on.
Hey,
Let me
do
give
you,
myself some inspiration.
yo, Lettuce.
what's up, G?
Do you like this voice more than my normal one?
I do.
You
I was
do?
gonna say, yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you were drinking, actually, I said he has such a nice like timbre or whatever it's called to your voice.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck me.
No, you
Fuck
can
me,
get
my
up on those
dirty
inclines.
ass, dude.
Oh no, get on the shrine. Oh my god, genius, 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 genius.
What's up, Pussy Farts? Oh, that's a archer.
That's my goat. That's my goat, dude.
He is goated with the sauce. That is insane. that was actually one of the more impressive runs.
That was insane.
I had doubts about the Bard's capability. Everybody was just hyping it up so much. But
Dude.
you
I've
weren't
been
wrong.
trying to say it.
Yeah. You weren't wrong.
But
I
I've been saying
doubted.
it with my whole chest.
No, but you said it with
day.
your old chest, and you said people are judging it based off of its solo capabilities. But you just soloed hell.
No,
like
I'm
how
saying,
much more?
I'm saying you see a solo bard, and what's your
Yeah.
instant thought? Oh, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
over there and
look,
dice him
it's
the
a-
fuck up.
Yeah,
Don't
it's a little
think
gay
that.
guy with a flute. Yeah.
Yeah, don't think that. You're
Okay.
gonna get diced up. Something fierce.
Hmm.
If
Yeah,
you,
that
you-
was
Simple as.
If
good.
you hear the flute, that's a debuff. That debuff alone takes away 60 armor rating for 18 seconds.
So what you're saying
Gross.
is when you
It's
hear a
gross.
flute, you should.
If you hear my flute, rush into battle. They're
menacing.
like 1 or 2
Yeah.
shots minimum.
Oh.
But if you hear a flute from the enemy bard, which there's not a lot of bards, but
Yeah.
if you hear an enemy bard use a flute, run away.
Hmm.
Okay, I got your axe. I got your 2 rings.
Yep. And my glove.
Should I feel
huh?
bad that I just took the nearest fucking
Listen,
exit and
dude.
got out like really early?
No.
I felt like how that panned out. I should have been there with you, but
No, we split, and then I ended up catching an extra 3-man. And everybody died, and we got my axe. That's all that matters.
yeah.
This is dub. This is dub.
Yeah,
You have
that
no
was-
that
reason
was-
to pay
yeah.
attention to us, Sam. You are above us.
Dude, oil lantern sells for 8 coin? That's crazy.
Honestly, that flinged mace was just bopping people's snoots. I'm gonna keep using
Yeah,
it.
it does. That green one that you picked up, that raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a bunch of fighters running that just because it's a head bonker, dude. It just
Yeah.
goes over the top.
Should I even use a shield? Like, how often does a shield come in handy?
Decent
It's
amount.
pretty handy, yeah. Especially
pretty
if we're fighting
handy.
those wraiths, you can just shield block every one of their attacks and we can kill it.
I did not know
Um,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same with the champion. You can shield block the champion's attacks, the like big skelly guy.
Yeah, because it does like negative 12 movement speed. I figured
Yeah.
I could
The-
zip
the-
around quicker.
The meta is
take
to
it
have
off.
like a big shield on your back, like a Pavis, and then you
Mhm.
run like a longsword or a halberd or something in your like a 2-hand with reach on it.
I don't like those because of hallways.
That's
They-
fair.
they
I
get
get blocked
caught
off
up on the
sometimes.
walls.
Yeah.
But the long swords where you do the fucking the two-handed
The
jab.
Zweihander, I hate the Zweihander.
No,
But I
Zweihander sucks.
Yeah,
But the
long
long
sword
sword.
has a riposte as well.
Yeah,
So
it's
if you,
awesome.
yeah, it fucking rips. Ready whenever you are.
Oh yeah.
High roller's also half off.
So, Lettuce, you know how you
I have $28.
you know how you're halfway there. You know how you look at like when I played Wizard, be like, yeah, I'm too dumb for that shit. I don't know what the fuck you just said. That's how I feel about everything you just said. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't never swung a sword like that in my life.
What? You never swang, man?
I got this falchion. but-
Falchions are fucking awesome. I honestly think they're like
No, they
That's
are.
like my
and it's gross that a bard can use them.
favorite. Oh, you
really
wait,
good.
you can use them? I thought you were just like rapiers and maybe like a little short
Nope.
sword.
Oh, no, you can use basically anything a fighter can. You can
Well-
use short swords, falchion. You can dual wield shit. You can use crossbows.
Oh.
What are you looking at me for? What's up? Oh, I sold that shit, dog.
My stuff? Yeah, you would never.
Did we have this exact same spawn last time? Or am I
Hope they
crazy?
didn't fall through the floor.
Yeah, we had the same spawn last time.
Gloves. I don't know if you remember. Just look at the gloves.
See, this is what I call. This is hey, I'm cashing it in right here. I'm cashing it in right now.
Oh, you're catching? That's
cashing
crazy.
it right
Cash
into
like,
mine.
all right, fine. Yeah,
cashing
fine.
it into mine.
Take your cash. Yeah, whatever. But I'm gonna uncash that if you die. I'm telling you.
Okay,
Right.
no, that's fair.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that
drum.
one goes to the bank. Oh,
You hear about this, Sam? This thing right here.
I'm busy doing combat. Oh, where you throw it? Wow, that seems to that has a big impact. How much damage does that do?
It does 28 damage.
That's pretty good.
There's some perks though, to where you do 50% more damage with instruments. And then plus buffs and stuff, you do like plus 30 damage.
Hey, dude, come on. I'm opening this. All right, dude.
yeah, it's open.
Have
It's
some
open.
fucking
I
decent.
started
that's-
swinging
that's
before
rude
you
dude behavior,
opened.
I'm not gonna
No, he's gaslighting. I swung before he started opening it.
No,
and he-
no. That's not exactly how it was.
You're rewriting history, dude.
I'm
This
not
is crazy.
rewriting. I'm not a revisionist.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I am a revisionist, but in regards to that chest, I knew exactly what the fuck happened. All right. Wait, what happened to the Is this drum? Did you not want this?
I got a better one in that
Okay.
chest.
I'll take this one and I'll throw it in case we need.
Yeah, you got it.
no
Also, there's
lever.
a
We need
spike trap here
ranged.
somewhere. Didn't even know that.
Can I play it while I walk?
Got worried I was gonna dice you up if I got closer.
You're just holding
Dude,
it over your head.
I got this
Yeah,
guy.
you got it.
Ready?
You got it. You got it.
Oh, I got the big one.
Hit him! No, you
Wait,
fucking
did
got
I
him!
hit him or or did he hit him with the axe?
Oh wait, the bat?
I think you got. I
Yeah.
think you got him.
Yeah, you definitely got him.
Oh, that was awesome.
Go get him. Big block, attack.
Oh! I fucked up the timing on that boss. Hey, I got this.
Oh, I found
halberd
the. Hey, I
on.
found the drum.
Should I put the halberd on?
You should just go back. I'm done.
Oh, uh-oh.
We can go right through him.
Um,
Sam's right. This is basically the same fucking spawn last time. Is this?
get
What
it.
is this?
it's a.
Oh, I was like, I see some. I see light. I smash.
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
So the spell I just cast gives you 50 armor rating and 50 magic resistance for like 2 minutes.
Ooh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. This gives you plus 3 attributes for like 60 seconds. Or it might be 30 actually.
Do you have anything that does movement speed so that when I hit
Yeah.
my movement
yeah.
speed buff,
this
I
right
can
here.
just haul ass?
This
Ooh, wait,
is-
play that again.
this-
Play that again.
It slowly ramps up over time. So this is like a base
Okay.
movement speed. This right here.
Uh huh.
Accelerando, this
Ready?
one. Over the course of 8 seconds, you'll just like
Uh.
slowly get faster and faster.
That's fast, dude. I started to get those little anime running lines on my screen when I go that fast.
If you have the spell on you, and like when we're chasing down people, you just gain on them so fast. So scary. Oh, I got this boss. I got this boss.
Dice him up.
Hold on, I got this too. I got mine.
Get him.
Yeah.
My fault. You said you had it, and I should have let you have it.
I still threw the drum. It made me
True.
feel good.
True. Integral. And I'm going to this fucking pussy ass rave.
Oh, are we fighting this thing again?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Did you loot the skeleton on the floor?
One of them, yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh, there's no raids. Just archers. Oh no, there is. I'm done.
What's poppin' bucko?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I missed.
Okay, look, you should die quick. Let Sam take aggro initially.
He's
Oh,
weakened,
never
he's
mind.
weakened. Ow! He didn't like that I weakened him.
Oh, the poop cloud.
Why does he take that much
Body.
damage?
Dude, because he's weakened. Oh, blue loot in here? No.
What? Not like loot, like L-O-O-T, like Carlos,
like a
the
loot.
blue L-U-T-E.
Yeah, like
Hey,
a
what's
blue.
crazy?
Yeah, it's a different
I'll
type
take
of
it.
loot, dude. It's yours.
Is that the one you don't use?
It's the one I don't use.
That
You
sucks.
can't play us a little song?
Well, no, actually, no, I can't. Not the
Yeah,
loot.
you don't have any loot songs on? That's
No.
wrong.
Can you at least
Well,
throw it?
not to say that the loot's bad. It's just like there's
the
so many
copyright.
more songs. There's better songs that you can play.
What kind of a fucking bard are you?
It's the Wonderwall of bard instruments.
Like, you can play it, but you're not
You
gonna.
can play it, but like, why would you when you can play fucking Smoke on the Water on this fucking thing?
True. These bitches open. Give me in this
Oh, can you
chest.
crank this open? Hold on.
Yeah, you can crack that.
This spell lets me unlock chests.
The rules.
Whoa.
Looks like you just
Ooh,
went
a
to the
helmet in
fucking
here?
wall.
Or Sam. Helmet in there.
Wait. Oh, wait. This one gives me more weapon damage, but the other one is cooler looking.
Take the other one that's cooler looking.
Always go for style.
Yeah, and then can I have the weapon damage one?
Yeah,
here,
I'll
here,
take
here.
the other one off your
Yeah,
hands.
it's-
if you
Yeah,
want.
you're the one
Zone's
that's
coming in.
sneaky.
Zone's coming in.
There you go.
Oh, it's a Barbuda. I can't take that. That's worth money though. You should. That's like an insanely good helmet. That's 2 weapon damage on that helm. That's
Yeah.
fucked.
Should I use it?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, but mine
Now-
looks so cool. I look like a bad guy.
Listen, initially I told you to go drip or drown because I really wanted that, but now that I can't use it, I'm gonna be honest. You should probably use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for always having my interests at heart.
I'm always looking out for you, big cat. So
You give me advice like that when I'm on 1% recovery. What the hell?
you are fucking die.
What the hell is
Listen, I treat Zeechum like that, and he's kind of always that way.
Yeah.
I think we're running. Yeah, we're running into another team right here. Drums of War. Oh, he just tried to crossbow me. Oh, crossbow.
Oh, let me weaken. Push up.
I caught the crossbow.
They're all weakened. Get in. Dice him up.
Ooh, head
Oh,
hit.
it's a weak
2
one.
head hits. Bonk, dude. All right, we heal up.
We gotta go to the right. Or no? We just keep going.
Follow.
Okay.
I should close it
Oh
on.
shit.
Close it on.
Oh, close it. Yeah, I want to loot that guy real quick.
Sam, don't die.
Also, I'll hit a word.
Oh yeah, they trapped. We gotta go the other way.
Oh, damn, Daniel.
Yeah, I bet he was. Yeah, he's juiced.
You're getting fucked up. Get out of there.
It's cool. It was worth it for the greed.
Ooh, damn, that falchion.
Oh, I think they're coming back.
That thing.
Oh,
Ooh,
they're
damn, that crossbow.
Yeah, I gotta heal.
Tell me when they're
take
back.
all that.
Yeah, I'm throwing all this shit away. And grabbing
Okay, yeah,
his...
you did kill him.
Ooh, a cloak? He had a tattered cloak? What?
Cloak's big.
Yeah, Cloak is
Cloak.
big.
His pants? He's got
You guys are all
ridiculous pants.
We gotta murder these guys because they're
I want
all
this guy's
juiced.
whole
I
drip,
think
dude.
they're coming
I'm
on the other
taking it
side.
all.
Yeah. Take it all, dude.
His round
me.
shield
Ignore
gives me
I'm
more
being greedy.
action speed. Oh, I can't take that. Oh, fuck.
Oh,
Is
Sam,
it green?
go,
Can
go,
you
go,
kill me?
go.
Sam.
You guys are all right. Stop freaking out. You guys are fine. Play your little drum, all right? Let me do the
Oh,
thinking.
damn, okay. Our poor boy, dude.
Yeah. All right,
I'm
guy
the
that's
reason
getting.
you're alive.
I got $23 in my fucking name, all right? Let me loot.
Oh, Kelly.
How did I miss that?
Here we go forward.
Those guys really left that dude kind of high and dry.
Other side? Yeah, other side. They're right on the other side of this wall.
Oh, yeah, I see
Hold on,
him.
hold on.
Larry. Different team, I think.
Yeah.
Open that fucking door, pussy.
Wait.
Do it.
Oh.
Bonk. Oh, I hit him in the head.
Back up.
How much did that,
He just threw a drum at us. No, that's war.
yeah.
No, that's war.
Weaken. Get in there.
I'm getting stared. Dead.
I'm coming.
Re-weakening.
Oh, shit.
I gotta back up a little bit. I'm gonna let Sam dice it out. I'm going in on the bard. Dead.
Let me in.
It's just that one. I diced up the other ones. Let's go.
I didn't even hit. Ow.
Easy.
Who's this guy?
Random. I'm weakening.
Where?
A random guy
On
in
us,
the
on
middle
us.
of my fight?
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here.
I don't want to hit you.
Getting the
You
clear.
got this? Okay.
Clear dead.
Okay. Yep. Everybody's dead. I didn't want to swing on Sam. I didn't want to get in there.
Yeah. No, that was a fighter versus fighter fight, all right? You
Yeah.
gotta
I had
let us
to back
swing
up.
it
Let
out
that
there.
happen. For sure.
Respect the gentleman's.
Yeah.
That was insane.
I
know we
noticed
gotta go.
he had the arming sword, so I really didn't have to be concerned a whole lot, which was nice. Oh, fuck.
Let's go, gentlemen. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Gotta get my drum, my weapon of
This is
war.
last
Do you guys
zone.
want to
This is last
descend
circle. We
into
can.
the...
I got enough healing for it.
I have a full...
Huge.
I got like such a full inventory.
I also have a
I'd love
surgical
to
kit
get
for
out.
the barbarian.
Ooh, what do we got here? Oh, no, there's 3 portals here. We're good.
Oh, okay. We can leave.
There is another team, though, so hurry up and...
Come on, let us.
Coming.
I'm gonna open up a portal for you, and then open up this one for me.
Do you want me to wait?
No, you're
No,
good.
we're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, good shit, boys.
Round of
Dice
applause for us.
Nice and clearing, dude.
And what's crazy about that is that's all day.
Dude, that's every day.
That's
It's
all
crazy.
day.
That's
crazy about
yeah. Any day of the week.
Yeah,
You
I'll
threw that
say that
fucking
too.
drum.
That's how my usual experience is on this game. That's how it is every time.
Dude, when he threw that fucking drum at me, I just got enraged like a bull. I was like, dude, the fucking gall.
Like, how fucking dare you, bro?
That was a drum that I threw at him, so it was like my drum getting used
Oh,
to
so
make
he
on my own
wait,
team.
so he snatched it and threw it back.
Yeah, I
That's
hit him
hilarious.
in the head with it. The second the door opened, I bonked him, and then he chucked it back. Don't worry, I got it for the next round though. That is a great offensive tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it works. Yeah, it works as a trigger for me. I didn't know, so just
Yeah.
blindly throw it at people.
I'll
they'll
just throw it at
back.
you.
Yeah, look at
Yeah,
that.
I'll just start swinging. Yeah, I made like 200 gold on that run. That was an insane run.
I don't know. Should I keep rolling this stuff out? Like this tattered cloak? I'm not wearing that out. That's insane.
Nah.
What? Why are you scared, baby? Baby
It's
scared?
purple, and
Not
it's,
scared,
I've never
scared?
even seen a
Oh.
cloak.
It's huge. You really shouldn't. Don't listen to Lettuce.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's so scared.
Lettuce
Oh.
doesn't care about anything like we do.
No, yeah, I'm just
We
hoping that he
care
dies
about
and I can
things and we
scoop it.
covet
Yeah,
things.
yeah. He's trying to scoop his way. He's trying to have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
he's
you know, I'm trying
hoping
to
I
cop.
fucking die and then he can pick it up.
Like, oh, I don't know what happened to your cape. I don't see it. They must have got it.
I'm actually gonna cycle out all my non-magic or my magic
Oh, I think
stuff
it's
for non-magic. There we go. Because I feel like, come on, when you have that many juicy runs in a row, you can't. There's no realistic way it's gonna keep going, right?
I mean, it's every day. I will say that.
My experience has not been every day. I can
That is-
assure you.
I
That
listen,
clip
I
is
usually check the
coming.
calendar, and it's pretty much every day of the week.
Yeah,
Is it?
it's
Yeah.
filled up.
I like your guys' calendar a lot more than mine. Your calendar sounds awesome. All right, I'm ready.
Cool.
I'm gonna ready up and then I'll be right back. You guys can do it whenever. Oh man, yeah, it is past my bedtime, man. I'm sorry. In the middle of that run, that was just a beefy run, man. I had to zone in. that cloak would sell for 1K gold. Are you kidding me? You tried getting me to go out with that?
Get it.
And they or they're a bad friend. So
Lettuce, my sources in chat are telling me that cloak could sell for like 1K on the trading thing.
cool. What are you gonna do with 1K?
I got 23 bucks. I
Cool,
could do
dude.
a lot with 1K. I could buy bandages.
There's no way you didn't get gold out of that. Okay.
Actually, what I got is just shit I can use for future rounds.
Well, then sell the cloak. Okay. Don't use it. Don't have fun.
As soon as this guy hits, by the way, I think
wee woo, fun detected, wee woo.
no, you sell stuff like that so that you can invest in future fun down the road.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You act like we know how to finance.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm financially illiterate, so I say you use it.
Listen to the guy with the mortgage here, all right? My credit's pretty damn good.
Crazy
okay?
flex. I got popcorn ceiling. Okay?
Yeah, let me tell you, when you get a purple cloak, you sell it. All right. If there's one financial tip that you ever receive from me, it's that you sell those purple cloaks.
I'm gonna buy it and then wear it.
Wear it on a naked run.
Yeah, just loot. I'm just gonna toss it in a well. Dude, what did that guy say to Peanut? Yeah, walk, brokey.
Walk, brokey.
Yeah, Peanut tried to finagle some guy and be like, nah, man, like this is only worth 200. And he goes, walk, brokey. And it was, yeah. Where is Peanut?
He said 400 or I walk. He said walk, brokey.
Yeah. So good.
Wait, was this in person?
No, it was in trade chat.
Yeah, it was
trade
for gold
chat.
key.
Jesus, dude! Imagine getting hit with that like at a flea market or like in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to be
Like,
hard, be like,
I
yeah,
would-
no,
yeah.
like just put my foot down. I was like, okay.
I put my foot down. Yeah. All right, walk, brokey.
You respond to a Craigslist ad, and that's their fucking attitude.
Yeah, that would hurt so bad. I wouldn't walk. I would.
Let me tell you, I know
This is
Peanut.
the point of
That's
honor,
gonna sit with him for a while.
They would eat away at him.
I feel like I do no damage. I think my
This
dog's out.
falchion it's killing it. Don't worry, I got him, boss. You keep playing the jams. Nice. Nice. Oh, I brought a campfire in case we need it. If you guys want to go to hell.
Yeah, we can definitely go to hell.
Hell yeah.
If we don't
go
get
down on the
anything
road.
good.
We need to get you money. Oh wait, you're not level 15, huh? On this fighter.
No.
We need to do a high roller.
High roller's locked to level 15?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
Pretty sure.
I didn't know that.
Suck it,
Isn't it?
Bezos, you lizard.
I don't
Crazy?
think so.
It might not be. Goblin Caves is.
Saying his name Tarkov.
Goblin Cave High Roller is definitely locked to 15. I know that.
Goblin Cave High Roller is fucking AIDS.
It's crazy, dude.
My
It's,
first raid in, I spawned in the middle of fucking spider's nest.
dude, Spider's Nest and just goblins are so fucking strong. It's insane. You have to play it so slow compared to like normal high roller.
What a weird. You know what? I've decided I'm gonna make a conscious decision between Spotify music and Carlos's melodious jams, and I've chosen Carlos.
I had the same problem when I was streaming this game, brother.
Yeah. I just realized I have so many fucking things in my ear.
Take
Driving
that
me
Pavis.
bananas.
Put that shit on your back. Take that Pavis on the ground and put it on your back.
Oh.
Block them arrow shots. I hate this. I hate the spider so much.
Oh yeah, apparently it is locked. My sources say. My
I didn't want to chop you in the head.
I know.
I was
Yeah,
like,
also,
here it
Sam,
comes.
the
Yeah.
biggest detriment to a bard is his teammates.
Yep.
Because with how buffed you are, if you misstep and smack me in the head, I'm dead. 100% of the time.
I think
It
Peanut and
happened
I-
countless times.
I think Peanut and
I would,
used
no,
to
I
got
would never
Carlos
do that
twice.
though. I'm accurate.
Dude, yeah, but you don't have a giant thing that goes whoosh, 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 whoosh.
That's true.
Yeah, it's rough.
No, I've killed Brian so many times as a rogue. I accidentally stabbed him in the back of the head.
I killed Carlos in the best way yesterday was when I had the throwing axe. We were fighting a guy, and I threw a throwing axe at him, and Carlos stabbed him, so his body fell, and it just hit Carlos in the face and killed him. And it was so rough.
I think there's people in here.
You want to go up top? Oh.
Oh, yep. Oh,
Let me go up. Let me go up. Let me go up.
we have prod on him, man.
Oh, it's a warlock. Easy game, easy life. Ow, fuck.
Dead. Dead.
Let me at this fighter.
I need to heal.
Dead.
Let's go. Fucking problem. Fucking issue. It's every day. Look at the couch. It's every fucking day.
I helped.
Yeah, you did.
I killed a skeleton upstairs while you guys were doing
debuff
that.
duration? No way.
How many were there?
3.
2. Oh, I saw 2.
I killed 2
I
in here.
saw 3. How many did you kill?
We killed all of them. The ranger
Okay.
followed me in here and I one tapped his ass.
Okay, I was about to say, because, like, if you guys only killed 2.
Oh, we're good.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Swords.
Pop one of these bitches.
Dude, the amount of goodies you get now that's green and stuff, like, that's actually worth money. One of these. I think you're right. I think the outside map might be complete bogus.
Yeah, Ruins is kind of as a rogue again. It's super fun.
It's fun, but like I feel like the loot's just not as good. I've been playing it all day, and like the amount of insane loot I've gotten just breaking boxes and shit on here is.
Yeah, that's
But even in here though, like the loot isn't fantastic. They recently buffed it.
They buffed
in
it
general.
this morning, right?
Yeah.
yeah, the hot fix. It wasn't good. I thought it. Yeah,
was
it
not
felt
great.
the other way.
Every
Like,
time we went to just down for loot, and it's not even like money loot. It's just like gear
God.
that we can use. Okay.
yeah, it's not going so hot. I have so many bandages. There's no reason to not be healed.
I just want a kill counter. I want to be able to
Yeah.
see how many fools I've diced.
Dude, when leaderboards come out,
When are those coming out?
2 days.
Yeah, whenever like the season or whatever starts.
We
I
gotta
think it's
start
only
getting.
high roller leaderboards though, right?
Yeah,
Hey, straw hat over here if you want to rock that. It's an aesthetic change. It's not really like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
it's
good.
actually worse
you know?
than my current thing, but you can see what it looks like.
It's definitely just a different look. It's a different vibe.
over here, bug.
Looks good though.
Thank you.
No, did it fall? No, it didn't.
I think I might have been overzealous in starting my stream, thinking that
Yeah.
I had a lot more energy than I
That's
do.
fair, dude. You're sick.
I'm
You're on
like,
1%, dude.
yeah, I'm fucking laid back right now. I feel like I could fall over. Hey,
Going
there's
to my
guys on
room.
the other side of this
Oh.
wall.
Say less.
Say less. Hold on, let me hit this with some shields.
I believe they're fighting something. You want to
I'm
go?
coming. Let's go.
He's up the
Oh
stairs.
yeah, straight through here.
Oh, a
two
bunch of
rogues.
rogues. Oh, they're fighting somebody. We're sandwiching.
Oh yep. Fighter. Dead.
One hit him. Hit the brick just to show who's boss.
Careful,
There's
crap.
little traps here. Play that flute, Carlos.
Weakening him.
He's running.
Ow.
He wants it. He's gonna hit a dead end here in just a second.
I'm checking for that other
Oh,
rogue.
and he had a rogue come out of no. I killed him both. No way. The cleric ran into a rogue and I just.
Oh,
diced him
no.
both. Oh, that's so tough, dude.
Do you want to go
that-
back for the other guys?
that's
That
tough.
first guy looked like he was kind of looted up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does he have nothing on him?
No. That's the triple headshot you love to see, dude, on the kill feed.
Is this where the traps are? No, it's this way.
Yeah, just now it is. Little spikes.
Yeah.
Where the
There
fuck
we
did
Oh,
he go?
this the bone guy. First guy. Who dropped this dude? The one at the top of the stairs.
I did. Loot whatever you
Dropped
want.
all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I killed everybody, but loot whatever you want, dog.
They just have like the little gold bangles and stuff.
Or no, they did. They did. I didn't kill those guys. I should say they killed them. I'm gonna go hit mummy room before it goes away. I'm gonna head that way.
Oh, did you hear that?
You got it, boss man.
I did hear that portal.
Was that a portal? That was a shield.
Oh, was it a shield?
Yeah. Somebody shielded.
Hold on. Let's get to lettuce. And I'm gonna pop
Yeah, I
us
think they're
some,
gonna be here.
some buffs.
Yeah, this hasn't been taken yet. So it's ground. Oh wait, it has? Oh, this just wasn't open. Yeah, this is where they came from.
That's so silly because I got one of these things right here.
Oh, I do hear that other tune. I'll hit this real quick and then turn around. Oh,
Mine.
oh, I hit you.
The opening text. The opening text.
Oh my god, dude. Fucking don't walk forward. Okay. I just had to get my anger out.
He said, "Don't walk forward."
Oh yeah, team through here. Let's go.
I got him.
Oh yeah, you got him. Get in there, killer.
Wait.
Let me in
Wait. Let me
first.
weaken. All right, go.
Oh, you got the drone.
Go.
There's one right next to you. Careful.
Whoa.
Let's go.
Did I bonk him? You full ass bonked with the drum? He almost killed me. Hold on.
Let me in.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go ahead. I'm almost dead.
I'm here. That was fuck that rule. I
I meant
cannot
to do
believe
that.
just happened.
I thought I killed you for a second.
Oh, yeah,
'cause it was
Barb.
Another... How did I not see that guy? I'm a fucking idiot.
He's dice. No,
Dead?
no way he escapes that.
Dead. Yep.
There's a wizard over there. He just saw everything happen.
That was one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my fucking life, dude.
Was he just standing
Was that the
there?
ranger, by
Did I
the
just
way?
not
Yeah.
see him because I had my arms up?
This was the barb.
Oh, well, there was a ranger that was shooting.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is.
Dude, I cannot believe that's so funny.
He had to have left, right?
Sam walked past that barb.
He must have
I
gone
hit
down
him
here.
once, and Sam just fucking drum bonked his ass to death. And it was, yeah, that ruled.
You guys want to go red? You want to go out?
Yeah, I'm down. There's a wizard and the ranger is definitely over here somewhere.
Hey, can you play your little heal me up song?
Yeah, I got
Oh,
you.
yes, Sam. That
They're
was,
gonna go
yeah.
into the mummy room. That wizard went to the mummy room.
Nice. All right, we need to find a escape portal. Where are we going for it?
We're gonna have to go back to mummy room.
You
Unless
sure?
there's
What
one
about
down
what's
there.
down here? Hold on, I'm gonna look.
Careful, the ranger went that way.
Ranger's a P word. There's nothing down here.
Hey,
There was a portal here. I see like the blue.
I got a
S's.
cape.
Yeah. Oh, you got a cape?
I'm that barb. I got a cape.
Come on.
Did I
Get him.
not see it?
Yeah, I didn't see it either, and they had to tell me.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck.
okay.
Did I go the wrong way?
No, we're good. There's the down portal over here, right?
Hopefully.
It's an escape portal. I don't see any down portals.
I'm going back for that escape portal. I'm choosing it.
Don't do this to me.
Find
So
something.
sorry. I
Gotta find something. I don't have anything. There's no way. Oh, it's purple mask. No.
Oh, you probably had a
Watch me.
chance
You
if
have
it
to watch
wasn't
me
for
die.
that.
You have to watch me die.
You actually, it was so quick you didn't even give me a chance. To,
lettuce died too.
No, I hate this game so much. No.
that was an awesome round, guys. Dude, I look like a final boss here at the tavern. What happened to you guys? You lost your hat. Where'd your hat go?
Dude, my cape. Dude.
What happened to your cape?
My
You know those
cape.
sell for $1,000. It's in your best interest to hold on to those.
Wait, I say I'm the one that got out? There's no way. That's so fucked, dude.
What if I just bust out this Cobalt Gamerson?
That is the most raw shit in the world. There's no way, dude. There's no fucking way.
Don't worry, I picked the drum back up. I'm bringing that back up. But the rest of
Thank
this is
fuck.
going into the inventory.
I kind of want to go fat and then go down.
I kind of want
Yeah.
to go Ranger.
If you
I'm gonna go on my
do that,
Ranger.
I think
crazy
I'm
what you just
gonna.
said.
I'll go pull. Oh, never mind. All right, load it up. Peanut, your stuff died, so I don't know why you're laughing because I had your shit on. So
Don't tell him that now.
I don't know why you're laughing. That's crazy.
Should I bring an extra campfire, or do you think we even need it?
Maybe, mayhaps.
Mayhaps. We haven't even needed this one. You know, I think we're fine there at the end.
Okay.
I'm
We
gonna
want to
bring
do
bandages.
baby girl.
Honestly, I'm a full ass believer in the bard now. You were right. When you're right, you're right.
I'm telling you, they're 2-hit like minimum.
Yeah.
With the right like axe or whatever for the bard or barb, that could be 1 hit.
I've seen him killing multiple people, just 1 hit, top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, for me as a bard with a falchion, I can 2-hit people with that debuff.
Oh, so it's a debuff that it's not like a buff for us. It's just
No.
a debuff
Well, I mean,
for
I
them.
buff you guys to where like there's a higher likelihood that if they have like big armor, you can cut
Yeah.
through it. But that debuff, again, it's 60 armor rating reduction for 18 seconds. So if you're hitting for like 80, where they would have like a fighter would have like a 60 armor fucking chest piece or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That just all goes away. I just strip the power of the Black Panther away from him. And he's like a naked boy, essentially.
And then he's just like a white guy.
Yeah.
You take
Yeah,
away
then
his
he's just a
Black
white guy.
Panther powers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. All with the power of music.
Mm-hmm. And it looks so good doing it too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go shop.
Dude, I'm
For-
telling you, I'm selling all my
Smash room.
wares right now. $270 so far, and I'm just doing the collector shit.
No way, this dude's selling this for 50 gold. You're on crack.
That sells for $14. Hey, what about all this stuff like this grave essence and this pile of maggots?
People are speculating that it's like for like quests.
Mm-hmm.
But as it stands, like you can't do anything with them. It's just another loot item.
Sell it.
So sell it. They go for a decent amount,
Yeah.
like any other treasure piece.
How you been doing, by the way? Long time no see. I haven't
Yeah,
spoken to you in a forever.
Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm vibing.
Just vibing. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. I saw you were playing that what was it, the Only Up game?
Oh my god. Lettuce and I were going back and forth with that.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah,
That game
that
was-
was schizo time.
Super fun though, in retrospect. In the moment, going back to
I'm
pipes.
glad we did it. I think we both have top 100,
Sub
right?
16. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
hmm
What?
Yeah, we got top 100
in the world.
times. I'm like 90-ish. He's like 80, like 5, something like that.
Yeah.
All time?
Yeah, on the leaderboard.
Wow.
Yeah. We got that. We didn't even have
Everything's
that
a
as our goal.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, it was worse than that. It wasn't every game's spreadsheet. It's I'm downloading GitHub things to like make sure I can practice, and it's 3 a.m. and
Trainer
I'm,
thing, yeah.
it's so stupid. Dude.
I remember like right when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, what's this game? It looks like one of those like fun little streamer games." And then I went to go view Peanut playing it, and Peanut's just like leaning back in his chair, and he's just like, "I think I really need to work on my it was just like there's just call outs for stupid
The
shit like
skips and stuff.
yeah,
and
my-
tech,
yeah. He's like, yeah, my shoe
I
time
work
is
on my
just not
windmill.
good. When I'm on shoe, I just need to definitely just do it a different way. I need to attack it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, it's too late for me.
It
It's
just
too
started
late.
as that. It started as like the
Silly
fun,
stuff.
yeah, make streamer angry game, and
Yeah.
then I put up a time, or Peanut put up a time, and then it was off. As soon as there was any competition, it was consumed us, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. And all the competitions wiped out of me.
And
What
motherfucking
happened?
Lettuce was in my chat every single day, taking notes.
Oh, you were there. You were checking out the competition.
Yeah, you
On
come
your
in and
off
I was
time?
explaining like certain skips, like, oh, I found like a new skip to do this, blah blah blah. And he's just sitting there writing Peepo G in my chat, just like,
It's true.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah.
Every time he would be practicing, because we would like one person would learn a new tech, and then the other person would just have to catch up and add that. So I would just watch his streams, and anytime I was like, "Yep, all right, got that." And you were doing the same. Don't lie. You would
Where? What with what?
dude. There
Literally
was
what?
Dude, there was definitely a few skips that you added post my stream, and if you're gonna say otherwise, dude, you're
I actively
kidding,
did.
dude.
I actively didn't do
You're-
that stupid rail skip, and I never did ever.
Yeah, but that's just because you were too scared. That's not the same.
Because it wasn't worth it.
It's so weird. That's 2 seconds, bro.
Anyway, so that's how it was for about a week.
Yeah. Immediately, he fucking muted so he could go be like to his stream and be like, "I'm right,
I'm turning
right.
them against you.
Listen,
Yeah, I'm
idiot."
turning them against you. It's yeah. I'm trying to find out his
He's
address
not
so I
here
can
to
dox
defend
him.
himself. Say it with your
No,
fucking mic
Zach is
unmuted, you
here.
pussy. He's
Zach
gonna
is here. Chill on me, okay? Zach showed up.
he's gonna riposte verbally on whatever you're saying right now.
Listen, he's just lying right now.
I don't know. He's been giving me good buffs. I'm on his side.
Oh shit! I don't have any coin purses. Oh my god! I'm just gonna dump all this like a fucking loser. Whoops.
All right, I'm ready whenever you guys are. I'll be right back. Big burp, big burp. How you guys doing? Predictions? I don't know how to do that shit, dude. It's too late. I'm too sick. I'm too tired. I'm not setting up Twitch predictions. Hey, great goop god. Thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. Did I get slimed? Yeah, my kid coughed in my face or something. I don't know exactly what happened. But I got the crud and I don't feel no good. And so I've just been playing Rogue, sitting up on the rooftops, doing nothing because I'm too tired. And this is the first time I've played like aggro Dark and Darker since the last time me and Lettuce played. That guy's on another level. He's streaming right now. Go check him out. He's like a super jacked guy.
Hope
He's
you
got
feel
like
better,
that
boss.
Gaston type, alpha male type personality where he's just like, I gotta go, big axe, I gotta go in. Bah. And that's not my play style at all. I'm more like I sit back like an asp, like a snake, and I wait for something to come nibble. And then I attack. That's always been my strat in every game. Sam, you should take ivermectin. It fixes everything. Dude, that is insane. That's like such a fix-all drug. Anti-parasitic that also works on viruses. It's like a fucking miracle cure. I would be so sketched out taking that shit. I know they do give it to people for stuff, but there's a lot of self-prescribing of ivermectin. A lot of people say that fixed my COVID. This guy's like, it fixed my COVID. Dude, when I got COVID, I felt like a little bit crappy for maybe 24 hours. And then I was just like, oh, I'm better. Like honestly, I remember exactly what happened. I remember reading something. They were like, when you start to feel sick, go drink a lot of water. And then your body is able to, there's a reason why all doctors say like plenty of fluids. I went and drank like a fucking gallon of water when I had COVID. And then like the next day I felt great, but I was still testing positive for like days after that. So I think, water's a better cure than ivermectin, I think.
Yes? Okay. All right.
I'm here, sorry.
Okay. You're good.
I was trying to sell ivermectin to all my audience.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Anytime you deafen for longer than like 10 seconds, I'm gonna get worried. If you're on 1%.
I'm on one.
Lose
Yeah,
you.
dude, my battery might run out.
I'm
Dude, I'm sitting in my chair like Jabba the Hutt sits on the floor. Like I'm like half of my ass is just laid off of it, and I'm just like laying on my side.
Hit him with the bring me for real.
Yeah, bring me gear. What am I doing? I'm playing with the wrong crew for jumping up on ledges. I'm sorry.
You want to rap? Is that what you're saying?
Ooh. Hey, that's dog shit. Why'd I say ooh to that?
Trying to rat with a bard is really funny.
Yeah, you're just like playing songs in the shadows.
Yeah.
What is that noise?
Where is it coming?
I forgot this ranger's kitted, dude. My clear time is nuts right now. He needs a blue bow though.
Do you want me to be the? Do I have to be the face, the tank of this team?
Yeah,
All right,
I get.
let me lead the way.
I have the spear for like gap close on melee.
What am I
but-
talking about? You should be
That's
the front.
self-defense. That's
Yeah.
that's a self-defense spear. If they get in on me, if I take one hit, I'm dead.
No, but you got to be able to. You have to be able to at least see them first
they're
to shoot
to the
arrows.
left? Yeah,
Yeah, get right here. Get right here. You can shoot straight through this door. I'll go open it.
Him?
Look at this. We're strategizing. I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna open up with an assault with the drum. You fucking piece of shit. Yeah.
Alright,
Dude,
no,
that thing
fast,
goes all
fast,
the way
fast,
down
fast,
there.
fast.
They have the
Let's go,
champion on him.
Shit on him, shit on him.
Oh, the guy
Kill
killed him.
champion.
Nice. Easy. Ha ha ha, bitch.
That guy was looted. He had a health pot.
Oh. My barb is so back.
What'd you get?
A blue felling axe for my barb. I
Nice.
don't think you can use that, right? Yeah.
Do you want me? Do you want me
Somebody aggro
to
the other skeleton.
take it out and then give it
There
to you
might be
next
somebody in
round,
here.
or can you move stuff between inventories?
I can trade it if I want. I'll stay on the ranger for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's a zombie here. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get some murdering going. We can go floor 2 for that fat loot. Oh, I brought 27 gold.
Wait, what's this way?
No, you left it. Oh no, you fool.
Or somebody I killed.
Wait, do you
it.
hear that?
I wouldn't know.
I definitely just heard
Kelly?
something dying
Kelly to the
northwest, northeast. I mean,
Oh, skeletons.
did you just hit him with a flaming arrow? Very awesome. You want to kill the blue guy?
Gotta kill those rangers. There's some at the blue guy.
Dude, these mummies always got gems on them.
Fuck, I didn't read him. Doesn't matter.
Should I be picking up these arrows for you?
Sweet.
Why would they make him that weak? He used to be like an actual threat. Plate pants.
I think it's to encourage fighting him.
Instead of using him to win other fights. I used to like lead him to other people a lot. And then go invisible as the rogue. Same thing with the cockatrice.
Bardetian double axe.
Alright.
Oh, this is a mimic. This is a lion's head mimic? I've never seen this.
Probably gonna drop something cool. Ready? I'll hit him with this. This gamer move. Yeah.
Nah. Not very good, is it?
Long sword. I'll take that. I just like those. Like the move set. So what's the purpose of these new potions of clarity?
Spell slots for magic users. Just slowly. Oh god! It slowly brings back spells.
Oh,
Wizards and
can't you
clerics.
like sit down though?
Yeah, that's just like a fast way of doing it.
Oh. Okay, I get it. I get it, man.
Oops. Also, it's really funny when you mess up with drums because it sounds like this.
Oh, yeah, that actually sounds like an improvement, no offense. Oh, there's a TV here. Ready?
Daddy Bezos says take my
Let
money.
me, come here, let us. They're gonna disrespect the board.
Oh, they ran out this way.
Right, run, cowards. He's debuff. Get his ass. Get in there. I'm gonna open it. Get him.
Oops. I'm coming. He's dead. There's a third one somewhere.
Okay.
And I'm just healing up.
Wait. Yeah, it's right here. Question.
Oh, I was muted. I killed the first one. I stabbed one through the
Oh.
window. Yeah,
You
they're all dead.
muted?
What the hell?
I was like,
What?
because I said it too. You were like lettuce, and I was like, just killed one. Good night.
Good night.
That's embarrassing for you to be the guy
Yeah,
that's
really,
muted.
truly. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out, dude. That makes me feel better.
God, I bet you feel
That's
like
crazy.
shit.
Yeah, dude, I really, yeah, no, it's dope, dude. It's fucking sick. Dude. You guys were fine. I trusted you.
Okay.
You had Carlos, and I killed
I
one.
didn't trust myself, and then once again, the bard is that flute
It's
does
broken.
way more
Dude,
than you.
it's so
yeah.
stupid.
I was
dude.
not joking.
It's so dumb.
He just did a little
You
ditty
song
and clicked his
format,
heels and was like, "Go in, they're fucked up."
is-
And I'm like,
yeah,
I
this-
don't know, dude.
When
I just
when they're
don't believe
debuffed,
it.
when I say they're debuffed, they're dead. They just don't know it yet.
Yep.
They still
Okay.
think there's a fighting chance.
Yeah.
When
They're dead
purple,
every
dude,
time.
When you
it's
hit that
over.
flute, they're on 1% recovery. You
Yeah.
know?
They're like,
They're ready. They're
Yeah.
ready to get killed. Are we looking for the red portals?
I'm down.
Alright, we can go down, yeah.
I'm always down to go down.
Because I have like a lot of just nonsense on me, but it's not like good stuff.
Yeah, I just have like a couple axes.
And honestly, if we sit at the campfire, it'll bring back my skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, won't that green potion bring back my skill?
I
Does it
don't
work
know.
on? I don't know. That's a good question.
Actually,
I don't know if it works.
maybe.
It should, right?
It did not. It
Oh,
didn't do
people right
shit.
here.
Are they in the door?
Oh yeah. Might as well be in the ground.
Ooh, a Pavis.
Get him at.
Come here, coward.
Oh, he's running.
You guys are real
Might
quick.
be more.
Is it just? Oh, yep.
He's weakened though.
Oh, did he drop? Yeah, he
Yeah,
went down low.
he dropped. What a loser, dude. Is there a down portal?
Back there, I heard a, I think a 3-person open. The 3-person dungeon one. You're getting hit by that thing, I think.
Me? No.
Okay.
Oh, he escaped, I think.
Oh, there we go. 3-person red one.
Noise.
Bro, having a barb run away from you is so funny. Sad
Yeah,
did
he
not
just
want
started
that smoke.
sprinting, dude. Yeah. Dude, you
How did-
scarred me. Every time I hear songs now, I'm fucking terrified.
Oh wait, hold on, you gotta see this shit. Whoop. Whee!
Okay, dude. Yeah, all right.
It's really demoralizing about the green potion.
Oh,
That
Sam, you
definitely
should take
give
this
me my stuff
longbow,
back.
and that way you can use it instead of a
It's gonna be
shield.
gone. Oh,
Hang
man.
on to that. I
I
feel like
don't have any room for it. I have a longbow on me, but it's just not that
Did
good.
you not pick it up?
No, I told you I didn't have any room. Is it gone?
No, it's fine, dude.
I think it's gone.
It's all good, brother.
He didn't want it anyway. He
Yeah,
didn't actually want
yeah. It was you were the trash. So
it.
I need a blue one, dude. If you can get it, if we can find a 50 damage, fuck me.
Pop that campfire down, baby girl.
Oh yeah, you want that?
It's somewhere around here.
It's I had to rifle through my pockets. Yeah, play me a little shanty while I put this down.
Dude, a campfire plus this song, you heal fast. You heal so fast.
Why am I putting this down? We don't really need to heal, but all right. It's down.
It's morale boosting. Oh, we hit
How
G.
do we
Got it. We hit G. We hit G.
Oh. You just regular sit next to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Is
fuck
this-
both of you. For sure.
Is this gonna give me my skill?
I'd let it
back?
run. Hopefully.
No, it gave it like 3/4 of the way.
Oh, because it's only a gray.
No.
Kelly right here.
Wait, is this the? Oh, yo, look to your left. Guy with a big. It's like a big fucking centaur guy down here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Super
fuck, yeah.
simple. Just
There's a
go
rave
right.
up there. Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
Where's the centaur?
Yeah, where do you see the centaur?
We have to go
He's-
this way.
he's down
this
here.
direction. Yeah, we can fuck him up easy. We just gotta clear out everything around him. All the nonsense.
Oh,
Weakened. Everything down here that's
yeah,
weakened
come
should
over here.
get 2-shot. At least.
what about the blue guy? Should I fight him?
We going up first or we going down?
I kind of want to go down. I want to kill
Okay.
that centaur.
Let's go to the center.
Why are they
Is there anything else in
releasing?
this room? Alright, I'm gonna pull him.
I don't have my drum to shoot
Oh, it's
at.
not a centaur. It's a fucking demon.
I'm sorry, that looked like a. He had like. Not centaur. I meant like a
I got a kite.
minotaur. Yeah, let me throw one of these down. There you go, boss. I'm coming, boss.
Ooh.
Oh, that still hit me from there? Oh, I
There
got an
we
archer behind me. Fuck. Oh, man, that almost
Back up,
bodied
back
me.
up, back up, back up. I gotta heal. Make sure we don't aggro that wraith. Healing still.
We're good. Fuck, I didn't realize that. I gotta put a chest on if we're gonna come down here. Ooh, blue rapier on there? Oh, this morning star. Oh,
You're gonna aggro the wraith. Sam, careful.
oh, Sam. And you got an archer on you, careful. Nice.
This is getting a little bit hairy.
He's one shot. I just missed. I can't see.
Yeah, I can.
It's so hard to see him through the fucking darkness. Yeah, Wraith is bugged, I think. Let me try and get aggro. Wait for this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
good
Yeah, we
ass.
just dice it up. $50 game, by the way.
Was it $50?
The founders edition.
Oh,
Dog. Wait, hold on.
And we have a health shrine up there, so don't be afraid to take much damage here.
okay. Let's see what.
Oh, gimme,
the
yeah,
Wraith
what you
had
got?
on him. A padded tunic.
There's a dog at the end of the stairs, by the way. Careful.
Kinda ass.
Yeah.
If I weaken this dog, we should be able to kill it easily.
Where are we going? Here?
We
Oh,
should
yeah, I
go-
see.
Or actually, fuck. We should have gone this way. Down here is probably a more straight shot to the zone.
Okay.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Archer? Oh, I see him. We're good.
Okay.
Grab my arrows right quick.
Alright,
This
let
way?
me redo our shields here.
We have shields?
Yeah, he gives us
50.
shields.
50 armor rating.
I'm going through here.
What's our XP from extracting air?
I'm not sure. Oh, this room fucks. Okay.
Yep.
We should be pretty safe.
Two
Gotta
skeletons.
make sure to take it one room at a time.
Yo, back it up. Watch out
Not
behind
like
you.
that.
Oh, there's one behind me. Yup. Cool. Cool.
Don't aggro the rest of the rooms. There's some
I
open
won't.
rooms.
That's good. That's good. I just gotta heal. I'm chilling. I just gotta.
I can't time the big axe guy.
Yeah, they're tough. Also new, so.
Hey. This hallway is perfect for throwing drums, dude. Look at
Let
this.
me heal. Do you guys have any bandages or health pots?
I have a
I
lot
got
of
kinda
health pots.
diced up.
Come to me.
Cool.
Here's a bandage.
Thanks, gamer.
It's like the cheapest one money can buy.
Here. Health pots.
I'll take one too, thanks.
For your trouble.
Oh, damn. That's It's gonna heal me up all the way.
I'm starting to come in, but we should be okay in this
Just clear it.
hallway. This is gonna be one. Maybe we can.
He's close attack.
Let's go.
It just sucks when they're pole arm and shit. Let's see what's over here. Yeah, we don't want to go this way. We want to go this way.
Well, let's wait for Zon. Hold on. Yeah, we should go this way.
I'm right here.
2,
Multiple
3.
in here. Take it slow.
Everyone behind me? Okay. I got aggro on one. Dead. Oh, 4. Careful. I'm coming in to help clean.
Ow.
Oh, I'm gonna get fucking sandwiched. Okay.
Holy shit.
This one could be dead. Yeah, we're good.
What the
good.
fuck was that? That was a lot of.
Yeah, I got
That was a
diced
lot for
on.
one room.
That was a lot.
Must be something cool in here, huh?
Surely.
Hey, here, lettuce. I'm putting some bandages down.
Thanks, G.
There's 2.
The Bardiche. Oh!
Oh.
Lettuce, you're gonna want to see this.
Oh. Oh, it's survival.
Oh.
That's okay. You know, it's
It's a thought that counts, right? You
Yeah.
owe me now, right?
Yeah.
Was it a purple bow?
No, it's a blue survival bow.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
But,
Fuck, Larry.
yeah, survival bows are just kind of dog shit, unfortunately.
You don't like them?
No, they just don't do enough damage.
That's true, but
Longbow
I
and
do
recurve
like
are the
being
way to
able
go.
to just like chuck arrows down range.
Yeah, they added
Well, actually, now that you have limited amount of
longbow
arrows,
7
can I open this door?
or longbow.
No.
I'm gonna close this. We should go.
Can you take it?
Yeah, we go this way, or are we going this way?
Well, there a fucking portal opened up right through
Yeah,
here.
we should probably go this way, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought there was gonna be stuff in there.
Like, what kind of stuff?
Oh, dog, back up.
I don't know we can have
I'm dead. Yep, I had to get around. Yep, I knew that was gonna happen. I should have just turned around and ran. I knew it. I was like, I'm gonna get one shot by this dog. That
Damn.
I fucking.
I assume you want your longbow?
Yeah, the longbow, and then I think I had a ring on, and
Yeah.
the boots maybe. Most did, yeah.
There's a
Don't
demon
worry
in
about anything
here.
else.
Hold on, don't go anywhere.
Are we freaked?
What the fuck? You're holding out on me, Smalls.
Are we freaked?
Yeah, I forgot that I had that. It was sick.
Dude, the circle, the circle!
I'm coming.
Where do we go?
Oh shit.
Yeah. That's what I was, that's,
No, don't worry,
yeah.
don't worry. I'm giving a speed boost. We're gonna go to the
We
left.
make it out of this. We make it out of this for sure.
Okay, go.
Let's go to the left. Oh shit. Oh shit, I'm down. I'm gone. There's no way. Yeah, you got out? You got out?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, did Sam die?
Yeah, I died.
Fuck.
I died. I was trying to open a door. I was hoping there was maybe salvation on the other side.
Hmm.
You know what? I've leveled up 3 times in like 3 runs. I'm perfectly happy with the progress being made so far. You know what? I also realized that was my dumbass idea to go down there. I don't think we should go down there, guys. I think we should do the normal thing. When the inventory gets full, you take the blue portal. The loot down there didn't seem any better than just...
I mean, no, it's good.
It's good, but like you don't get the thrill of running down 3 scared dudes
True.
with you sitting there doing your Kenny G thing. And you know, I feel like that's really what I'm after. I'm gonna put that mace back on. That mace did me good.
How do I take gold out of pouches, Carlos? Do you remember?
Alt drag.
Oh, yeah.
A fine cuirass.
I always miss one fucking treasure, dude. I'm trying to send it to a collector.
Yeah, you go do collector and then you sell the rest of your weapons and stuff and you realize you missed like 15 things.
Yep.
They're just like hidden around. Okay.
How much is sold your longbow?
Rough.
I really need to get a replacement drum. Drum was everything. I'm ready.
After this one, I'm gonna hop back over my barb. I hate
Okay.
being squishy.
Do your barb thing, man. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, that ranger kit was just sick. I just got diced. My fat fucking teammate was standing in the fucking door.
Yeah.
My
5
fucking
minimum
Jabba the Hutt
EFTQ.
sized 1% survivability
Oh,
was just
I know what you're talking
blocking
about.
me up like his artery.
Yeah, the this guy mentions the like I know Tarkov just wiped and I know that's like the big hype right now. But I was in Omid's chat and he was talking about queue times and I really thought about the amount. There's a guy just fucking beating me over and over again with a spear. The amount of time I've just spent in a goddamn queue for that game might be more than I've been alive in that game. You know what I mean? Like I spent the bulk of my time just staring at the matching screen. And I frankly am tired of it. I could go for the rest of my fucking life without being in that goddamn screen ever again. This game, look at that. I've had time to just make 1 point, 1 valid point, and we're going to be in there in fucking 10 more seconds probably. See? Look at that. What was that? A fucking minute and a half, 90 seconds? I've had fucking queues on Tarkov that are like 9, 10 minute. Like that's the average. That's not a fucked up queue. That's how long it took.
No. Keep
Look
it.
at this
Why do you
ornate
love
little
agility?
room.
Carlos actually just turned on us and it's time to kill him.
Right, what happened?
He was saying some real fuck shit.
Like
Was it bad against me or just Lettuce?
Yeah, it was super you. It was super targeted towards you.
What? What did I do? I've been
The
an
left
angle.
poop. Oh, where's the archer?
He's around the corner.
Oh.
All I want is bodies.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my guy's too fat to make it across the
There's a bunch
traps.
of arrows on this guy.
I'm the archer.
Hey, blue guy's right here. You want to fight him?
The Wraith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's right in here. But in order to get to him, you have to play me that little healing song that I like so much.
Carlos has to play a
shit.
song?
Beep.
Yeah, not you.
I was making sure because I could rip you one.
Son, you're the piano man.
Yeah, I could pull out my
You
piano.
should come up with lyrics for each song and then.
True.
That'd be funny. That would be funny if I was funny.
Archer, I don't want to shoot you.
Dice him up. I'll deal with the riffraff.
Am I supposed to be dicing him or am I just
Yes.
blocking him? Okay. 'Cause I'm definitely not dicing him. I'm definitely getting diced. Yeah, I'm getting diced. Oh god.
Ranger behind you, careful. Nice.
Get out of here.
I whiffed
guy.
so many shots there. I'm owning it up. I was just with City.
Hey, this guy has like.
Big man.
I'm taking all these arrows just in case you need arrows later on.
Cool. Thank you.
There's like I got like 20 on me.
Oh, crossbow guy.
Suck, dude.
Iced.
Oh, hand crossbow. Has anybody found a reliable way of getting hand crossbows?
No.
No, they just
So I
drop.
don't use them.
They drop, but you can't buy them anywhere, as far as I can.
Oh
tell.
yeah, like off a vendor? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I need to stockpile them. That's what you're saying. Interesting. Interesting.
I head towards cavern over here.
Nothing down there. Where'd you go?
Towards the cavern over here. Southeast side of the room we're in. Or southwest. Fuck.
He doesn't know his cardinal direction.
I don't know. I put
Get
on my
him.
hand. I made an L with my hand and I
Laugh
got
at him.
confused.
Oh, you got through that? Fuck.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I tried to be a scamp. It didn't even work.
Diced. Oh, I hear players through here.
Come to me, my brothers. Get these buffs.
Okay.
Yeah, I just heard him knock. Oh, yep, he's just a ranger right here.
Oh. You want me to rush him down?
Oh, I'm getting locked up. Oh,
Oh wait, back up.
yeah.
Oh, it's coming for me. Can't get my fucking tap. Oh, he's debuffed. He doesn't even know he's dead yet.
Is that a wizard?
Yeah, the wizard.
Trying to shoot
I think
the dog.
I'm dead again.
Oh my god.
Magic missile.
I went in thinking it was.
Oh, I whiffed. I whiffed so hard there. I'm going back to Barb. I got fucking Tarkov aim right now.
You know what? It's fine because look who killed you.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I'm happy to die just like that.
He's happy to die by AOC's big naturals.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Dude, it honestly killed me again, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go out that way. That's fine.
Yeah, fuck me, dude. What's Ben Shapiro's sister name? Add her in the mix.
Political discourse has been resolved in America. AOC and Abby Shapiro have murdered me with their tits.
I'm going back to Barb.
For sure. Yeah, I just don't have the gumption in me.
No, you're good. I have shitty aim. That's what I have in
I
me.
have a green double axe if you want it.
What's the damage on it?
57.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That shit, damn. Okay, yeah, say less. We're so back. Gaming is
Also,
back.
whenever you do cleric, I have a quarterstaff for you.
Whenever.
All right, I think I am gonna roll out with heavy shit again because it's been so lucrative. Like that was just 2 little goofs in a row. The next one's not gonna be. Next one's gonna be fine. I hope. Ooh, wait, no, I'm definitely gonna use the falchion. I need to make sure to bring in my own healing stuff. But now that Lettuce is going as Barb, I can't. Here's the sneaky part. I kind of get he's like the front line. This guy likes to be the first one in, and so I don't get hit as much. I get to lay back. All right. I think that's good. Does this look good to you guys? Just like some armor, pants, falchion, bandages. What else do you fucking need? I can't think of anything. That's all I need. Potion? Nah. What about healing potions? I'm paying attention to you guys. What's up? Why is falchion best weapon? Why is everybody else wrong? I like the falchion because it, honestly, it's like, I don't know. He swings it in such like a perfect fucking horizontal, and you can clip people in the forehead with it, take top of their head off. So I love it. Oh, and thanks, All Bad Badgers. You said the Kenshi video was killer. Thank you. I was thinking about, honestly, I was kind of scared that Dark and Darker would pop up and then immediately get yanked down again because of the lawsuit. So I've been playing this, but I've been thinking about getting just back into Kenshi for a second video follow up because I have such a funny idea for him. And because that game's just fun, dude. Game's just fun. Where did I get my slick glasses? I got a Warby Parker sponsorship, and part of the sponsorship was they gave me free glasses, and that's why I took the sponsorship. They're like, yeah, we'll send you some free glasses. I was like, with prescription lenses? And they were like, yeah, that's part of the deal, and then we'll pay you on top of that. I was like, I ain't even got to go to the fucking the proctologist or whatever. And they were like, nah, you don't have to do that. So, yeah, I took that sponsor. Hell yeah. Free glasses and I get paid for it. I'll take that every day of the week. You have no idea how much of my sponsors are like if they send me stuff. Like if they send me shit that I just need. Like if I got sponsored by an oil changing company or something and they were like, yeah, we'll just come change your oil in your car, I'd be like, fuck it, dude. I'll do that shit. I'll sell the fuck out of that. If you give me free oil, I'll do it all day. The cancer ad was for fucking Dollar Shave Club, all right? Dollar Shave Club doesn't pay shit, so I was willing to lose that one because I thought it would be funny to make a cancer ad. Watch out! Protect the bard, dude. Protect the bard.
What's up, playa? Totally planned. Ducked, dipped, and dodged.
That was epic.
Thank you.
We all came back at the same time.
You suck.
Yeah, you're bad. Can I have my axe?
Huh? You're what?
Check out this fucking axe I found. This thing's badass.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can open
Oh,
it.
you're so fucking stupid.
You can actually use double axes? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's broken, dude.
Boom, look at that.
I'm so fucking stupid. I didn't bring in a falchion.
Okay.
Do you want my
That
falchion?
makes me
Do you
want
want
to play
trade?
fighter.
No.
Okay. I'm sure we'll find one.
Yeah, they're pretty prevalent, right?
I think they are. Honestly, I've been scooping them up.
You don't have a shield?
I got a shield.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can't see it. It's invisible for me. You're just walking around with a sword like a
I can't
dingus
see
on
it
my
either.
screen.
You got a clenched fist like you're mad at
you're
the
like
world.
So
Oh,
mad.
there
Oh,
it
there
is.
you go. So what the fuck? That was wild.
That'd be cool if that was like
I want
on
that
my
as the
screen because
default
then
animation.
Yeah, just
I could
standing
block.
there threatening.
Pissed off.
I'd be able to block and still see. Wait, you can hit them while they're on the ground? I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Oh, now my nose is starting to run.
Oh, it's a
What the
champion.
hell?
We gotta kill this champion.
Yeah, we do.
An archer in the back.
You said you wanted me to hit it from the back?
I'm gonna hear this archer and kill him.
Oh, fuck. He like instantly turned on me. This guy's mean.
I'm coming. Oh, dude. I hate this guy.
Oh, you're whiffing.
You literally
You're
just
whiffing.
sucked all my fucking shit. I hope he turns to kills you.
It's because he gets so low to the ground.
Yeah, dude, he just gets under it.
Yeah.
He ducks it. I'm trying, dude, he just absolutely put the work on me.
Ow.
Wait, we don't have a ranger anymore?
Nope.
No.
Alright.
Don't need one.
Ooh, a lion's head chest. It had some crazy boots. Yo, these boots are actually, correct me if I'm wrong, are these insane? 1 to all attributes plus 4
Yeah.
health.
Bro.
Yeah, anything with Addy on it is gross.
Yeah.
Yo, look at these eyeballs. Look at these eyeballs.
I'm so bad at this video game.
Blue sapphires, diamonds.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's how you
Yeah,
do it.
I don't have it
Danny.
anymore. You need to put me down. You just gotta put me down like a dog. Ever since I lost that blue axe, bro, it's been downhill. I miss it so
The
much.
blue axe that I saved for you, I risked my life for.
Dude, I put blood on that axe. I bodied like 6 people that raid. And all for
I
nothing.
accidentally
Some
opened up
trash.
this door.
Hold on a second. Yo, tripped on a sock. No. No. There's been some questions as to why I'm not playing Tarkov. I can't fucking sit in a loading screen. I can't. The matching or whatever, I can't do it. Hey, Lettuce, what are the matching times like on Tarkov right now?
They're not bad at all. Unless it's Cav. Cav is horrible. But like, PMC's been fine.
Like how long? How long are we talking?
Scav's probably like minimum 5 to 10.
Okay, what's like a normal PMC waiting time?
Like 3 to 4. I didn't have any issues on PMC.
3 to 4 minutes. That's not half.
It was good right away. I played right when the servers came up, and it was good right away.
Oh, I stand corrected. I've been bitching at my my chat because they're like, why aren't you playing Tarkov? I'm like, dude, if I have to spend another minute sitting there like an asshole in the matching screen.
That's
for
fair.
Tarkov. Hey, there's
Yeah, the
people up here.
PMC. Okay, coming. Yeah, PMC isn't bad at all.
Oh!
Just, yeah.
He's got some sort of pet, some sort of spider pet.
Oh, Ranger.
Yeah.
Throw a pot on before
Gonna
going in.
hit this thing in. Get in there, get in there.
He's running. Oh,
Yeah,
his rogue's
speed.
right here. His rogue's right here. Yep. Oh, and his spider. The whole team's right here.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I don't want to swing on you. I'm coming in.
Oh.
Diced.
Ooh, you got him right in the dick.
This guy's trying to run it. I'm not going to let it happen. Oh,
Don't
he's
worry,
healing?
I'll just-
Does not matter. Dead.
Just loot a
Oh, I
little
fell!
bit.
Oh, no.
You alright, buddy?
Well, I'm at the bottom of the place. Oh, I see a body of a barb who fell into some traps.
Nice.
Did you loot this guy? This ranger?
Yeah. He had
If
bandages
only I had a pickaxe, man. This would be
and
free
a
money.
gambeson and
Oh, here,
some
take
leather
this.
gloves.
Come here. Boom. Flange mace. Boom. Horn skull. Blue.
Oh, that's the cool looking helmet.
Yeah, dude.
That's the one that you need, man. The hound skull.
He did get absolutely shit on with it, though. Just so you know,
wait,
it's got a
yes.
giant slash through it.
Hey, do you want a falchion?
No, I
Yes.
can't use it. Oh, you mean for powers? Okay. No, it's good.
Should I come down there to you, or should you come up here?
dropped
to
I'm,
me?
I'm, up, I'm coming up. I'm coming.
Oh.
Whee! I'm right next to you. We gotta get.
Oh wait,
move
this
on.
guy also had a falchion.
Give me the good one.
Hold on. 23. Regular interaction speed. Look at this big shield. Where are you at?
I'm coming.
You're looking
Oh.
directly at me.
Hold on. We have to move now. We have to move. Where are we
Okay,
going?
well then go. Just go.
I'm going. I'm going.
Ah! Ow.
Yep, I heard that. I heard that.
You know, life is Roblox.
Oh, I'm getting diced by the ranger on the far side.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love that.
He hit my shield.
Oh, they're in on me. I need help.
I'm sneaking up behind
Damn.
him. Oh, I'm dead. They're weakened. You can clean it up, but the ranger is not
I
weakened.
got
Oh,
one.
fuck, I'm gonna die to the ranger. Oh.
Oh, fuck.
The
What?
rogue.
There's another one. Get out of here.
Dead. Rogue dead. Last ranger.
Try to get to you.
He dipped. He's bailing.
Did he? There's another guy on the other side of this fucking door.
Fuck, we gotta go. Oh, he's right there. You were going this way.
Hit it.
Watch out.
Can you open it?
Oh, I knew that crossbow was gonna get me. I tried to jump. I knew it was coming. I tried to jump. Oh, good job, though. Sam still got this.
Sam gets out of here.
Oh, the ranger.
Yeah. There.
Good try.
No, the spider mummy got me technically.
Oh, the
but-
spider got you. Yeah.
there was like 50 of them under my feet. Wow.
Rough.
You know what? You guys brought me. You gave me everything, and then you somehow took it all away in the same night. No, it's not you guys' fault. Come on, but you did give me a taste of the high life. That was nice. That was nice.
Almost every day.
Almost every day.
It
At
is
the
most
beginning of this
often.
stream, it was every day. This is every day.
Listen,
It's
we
almost
took some,
every
we
day
took some
around here.
hard L's.
Yeah. One more.
I'm going balls to the wall.
You're
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
This is
I
my hero
don't
story.
have any fucking money. I don't have anything left. I don't have any armor or anything. I guess I could sell and buy, right? Yeah.
I'm going fat. This is fat as I can be.
Yeah, I have an axe. That's about as fat as I'm coming. So I can manage to buy an axe.
Oh wait, all this stuff's super cheap. Just like plate armor, just normie armor.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy a normie armor set. Heater shield. Nice. You know what? I'll get boots too. Oh, those are expensive.
big one.
You know what the problem is, I think, is we lost the drum. The backup drum that we would open fights with.
Ever since you stopped throwing drums at people, it's been downhill.
It has been.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, financially, I'm in shambles.
That changes today.
Yeah, this is levels of down hysterical we've never seen, dude.
Oh, nice straw hat.
Thank you.
What the fuck? Hold on, I gotta go straighten somebody out. I did not waste that gold. Okay, that gold was spent. So that this one, we will win. How's that jarred piggy doing? He's vibing. He's right there. He's hanging out. Just chilling. Just chilling. We're not gonna fucking die, dude.
God bless the debuff.
Have you noticed that the spiders, they don't bite you? They actually just come up and they kick you with their little front leg. This is kind of awesome.
They kick you with their like little fucking. I didn't know that. I thought they just bit you. They sound like they munch you.
No, yeah, they have like two little front legs and they just do like a little front stab with them.
Oh yeah.
They hit you with a jab. All right, you guys have no idea the greed that I'm gonna have this game.
I hate that I still got hit by that.
Like this cracked water
Crossbow
pot.
archers are the worst.
That's mine.
All right, I'm making money this run. We're making oodles.
Yeah.
Oodles. We're going to mummy room. We're making oodles.
Is that this room? What does that debuff do? He's not even like trying to attack me.
Oh, the debuff, his debuff just lowers their armor and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Makes them more ripe. There's another one that lowers their like stats by 3.
Oh my god, I'm so bad. Oh, I got a full arm around me.
Whoa.
Oh, it's a red skelly too. Fuck. I'm in trouble.
Hit the. I'm coming.
Oh
my god, you are.
You're good. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just playing stupid. I'm all pissed off for all that fucking Tarkov.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you. Thank you for saving me, Poppy. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna sleep so fucking good tonight. I can feel
Yeah.
it. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna send you a picture of my recovery. It's gonna be at 100. 100%.
Please do. Because the reality is I'm gonna be all night worrying like, man, if Sam hits 0, dude.
What if his battery runs out? What if it's over? That's what it was. You were doing the Barb yell thing. I think you did the. You scared him.
Fear.
Yeah, because like that. I was fighting like one of the archer ones, and he was just kind of being an overall pussy. He was just walking away from me. A bronze ornate chest.
I'm popping over here real quick.
Whoops, I didn't mean to open these. Oh, I'm so sorry.
What about this one on this little plank? Ah! Have you had the ones where they don't actually like they don't open when you go to open them? Like the mimics where you do the full opening 1 to 100 and then when it gets all the way to the point where you should open it, just nothing happens. Have you had that happen yet?
I don't think so.
I had that happen like 3 times to me, where I was just
That's
opening it.
infuriating.
Yeah, and it was just sitting there like I didn't realize that that's something a mimic could do. Maybe the servers were lagging or something. But
We're gonna get bread in that mummy room.
roast it.
Careful of the spikes there.
Somebody's been here. Oh, let's go this way. Probably have company here.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, we gotta find these guys.
Have us.
No, you're good. There's nobody here. We need to find them because they have our fucking loot.
Come to me.
I'm coming.
Ain't nobody here, and I want them here, dude. Oh yeah, I hear them over here. Murder, murder, murder. Yep, here they come.
Come near me to get buffs. Oh, they have a fucking bard.
But he's not our bard.
Yeah, get up in there, Sam. Here, I'll go.
Which way? Up here?
Right to the right here.
Get in there. Go, 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 go. Full steam ahead. Break it open. He's weakened.
Oh, he's running. I'm dead. I gotta back up. Yep.
Oh, my God.
I hit it too. I hate the Pavis meta so much. You guys
We got him.
God damn, I hit this fucking shield on his back. This
Oh.
shit is so brutal.
Just leave him
Fucking
out
murder
there. Make him sit out there for a little while. Ooh, nice leather gloves.
I'm gonna go around the other way.
We'll take.
Gonna catch him off.
Ooh, this bow.
Yeah, that's right, bitch. Stay over there.
Interaction speed. Stupid. I'll take this. Did you loot this guy at all? Oh, good heavens!
I hate everything.
Yeah, this guy is beef, dude.
I got.
Oh my God, Lettuce, you'd love to see this. This guy had a lot of shit on him.
No, sorry. I
You
should have
would've-
let you
oh
go
my
first.
Yeah.
I didn't want
You
you,
would
to
have
die.
loved this. This guy
God damn
rocks.
it. He's
There's
so
a lot of
rich.
shit.
He's so rich. Wait, bring me back. Bring me back. There's an altar. Bring me back. Bring me back. Say it, please, please. Say it.
Dead men telling no
Say it, no,
tales.
please. Oh my God, you're so
We gotta
kidding.
go, zone.
Dead people stink. Dude, this guy has too much good stuff. We can't leave it all on him.
Well,
We
then,
can't.
gimme.
I'm sorry.
Gimme. Gimme.
Yeah, grab anything off this guy. I don't fucking care. It's insane.
Maybe that double X. That's probably good money.
The double X?
That's on that dead
So does
fucking
this count as
stupid
a one
barb.
time again?
Dude,
or
that
what's up?
thing take up a lot of room.
No, it's literally
Like
like 30 gold.
room.
It's like
Sam,
30.
we
It's
gotta
like
go.
30 gold.
Sam.
You're fine. But I wanted everything else on you instead, like your ring. I want that necklace. Yeah, if I can get that. Hey, can I get that?
You can't get none of that shit, dude. You stink.
No. Okay, Carlos, how much to kill him? You're a working man. You're not bourgeois. How much? Name the price.
Nah,
2K.
you don't got that.
I got that.
He doesn't have that.
I don't have that. I have
No.
$2.
Oh, let's go this way. Don't be awake. We gotta keep moving.
Oh, okay.
We have speed bumps.
Dude, you're... Hey, this door's doing what that box was doing, that mimic. It's like a mimic door. We go this way?
Yeah.
I really don't like the maze. That's why I just want to get out.
Over there.
Whoa. Look at this awesome ceremonial
There's an
dagger.
escape portal on the other side. There's a player over there.
What? There we go. Did you already jump over?
Yeah. You don't respect the bard, so you die.
He didn't respect you?
No. Hey, there's the loot I need.
Hey, you go through that exit portal. I'll go through the one where we came
Okay.
from. If I can make the fucking jump, dude. This guy is so slow.
There we go. That's
There we go.
lucky,
Those are
baby.
the big dubs that we needed for the night. Right, Lettuce?
Huge for the program. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. You should
This
probably
is
run
big.
one more. You should run one more. You got one more in you. You got one more
All
in
right,
you.
you gotta let me go take my NyQuil and everything. So after
Go
this,
take
I'm
your
gonna-
NyQuil and run one
I'll
more.
pull up my Snuggie real nice and tight, and I'll play one more. Yeah.
Also, I wasn't lying when I said I won that raid fat. I had like my best gear on.
Oh, did you? Oh yeah.
I still almost got diced up by that bard.
That guy went in with a couple coin purses.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't have like gold in them, I don't think. Oh, they had 2 gold in them, but it was 2 coin purses, so I guess I don't have to buy them anymore. That's cool.
Alright, that was fun. I'm gonna take off my fun gear now.
Yeah. We don't risk it all to get lettuce some shit.
Nah.
Almost every day.
Absolutely not.
Dude, you're the worst. You had full health and you're hiding in the back like a little fucking fat
Hiding
Jabba
in
the
the
Hutt
back,
pussy.
dude.
You little once. I hope your
You have
survivability runs out.
too
dude.
much
I-
adrenaline for a video game, dude. You're over
I
there
hope
just
your
like
battery
hopping
dies.
in your. I've seen you play games, dude. You're like a kid stimming out with a fidget spinner. You're fucking. You sit there and
Adderall, dude.
bounce in
You
your
gave
fucking
me the
chair
Adderall.
and go like
Give
on
me
some
a
Joe
ticket to
Rogan shit.
Adderall, and then tell me to
and
calm
then you just
down.
hit W and you walk in and
was
no, I can't
too-
keep up. I'm soaking in the
too real for you.
environment.
I'm just.
It's a
I
fucking
agree.
dungeon.
My crime is I'm too much of a real one, dude. Going in there for you. You're
Yeah.
right. I agree with you completely, dude. We're on the same wavelength, dude.
Yeah. It's just you know, like how do you stay that aggressive with Carlos's beautiful music serenading us?
It makes me violent. I hear that
It's
playing like
like-
it's so
actually-
violent.
It's like a
I
little
hear-
lullabies constantly. I'm like, dude, there's benches all
I
through
hear
this
his
place.
flute,
Why don't we
dude,
sit
and
down?
I see red. I just want to start smash, dude. He's trained me like a Pavlovian response. It's horrible.
Yeah, because every time I play, I'm like, go in, get in there.
Yeah, he does. He's like, go.
This music is murder music. It's like a harp. You're playing like, typically like the most peaceful little tranquil songs. All right. Hold on.
Nah, dude,
do you want
gotta
me
be scared of
to
that shit.
do you want me to bring in extra like bandages and stuff for you?
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
a
Maybe
bunch.
like a bunch of gold.
I should bit my
Like,
Uh
you know,
you
a
know,
couple
you guys
of-
got me 300 in like 2 hours. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah, that's pretty big. After didn't we drain like 302 though?
Yeah, like we went up high and then we went back down low, but
Okay,
Well,
but we've
actually,
recovered.
If you,
We've
if you
recovered.
we're
sell
recovering.
that cloak,
Okay.
that's like easily.
Dude, you're
1,000.
up. You're so
Yeah.
up.
Way up.
I'm way up, dude. That
You're
cloak
so
is
up.
huge. It's always the cloaks, man. I remember in Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, I had like the founder, like Player Unknown's cape or whatever, and I sold it for like real life money. Like I could have sold it on the Steam Marketplace.
Oh wait, was it like the like the black trench coat or whatever?
Yeah,
or
the black
shoes?
trench coat.
Oh yeah,
No,
the pre-order
it was the black trench coat, the shoes, the pants, the face bandana.
Those were
and,
so
and a
much.
shirt. Yeah, like if you had the whole pack unopened, it was like thousands.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
and then they released
here,
the
look.
first like clothing pack, and I realized they were gonna keep doing that, and so the price was gonna go down eventually.
You
So
got
I
out?
just- Yeah, I sold it.
Man, you got out at the high.
I did.
That's big.
Yeah, no, I sold the goddamn jacket, the little cape thing, the trench coat, and like I paid my utility bills and stuff for like
That's
several
big.
months. It was great.
Oh yeah, here, let me bug the champion really quick. Okay, he's mad at me, surely? Yep, okay. Come here, come hither.
I'm gonna light that up.
Oh, he's on you.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a shame. You know what to do.
You guys bringing
hit
him
the
up
spot.
to the incline.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Well,
No, he'll aggro to you. 'cause
there you
you're
go,
closer.
yep. Also swung on his pussy ass. I deserve this. Oh, okay, I'm fine.
We rock.
I can't get him, I'm not on my ranger.
I'll take care of him, dude.
Yeah, fuck him up, dice him up. He's hitting the wall like a big stupid idiot. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I hear another bar.
Oh,
maybe?
he's aggroed on you now.
I hear another
Body.
team. I think they're up above. Like through a door.
Oh, blue flute?
Blue
Blue
You're kidding me, bro.
Yep,
Where? Is it on him?
it's right here.
I can't wait to hear that.
1 + 1, by the way. +1.
Huh?
+1 to fluting.
That was +2 magical damage.
No, +1. Give me an axe if you find it.
Yeah, +1 you owe me.
Yeah, true. I guess I'm even now.
Was that you screaming, or was it a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
barb? All right. I'm gonna
Crazy
check.
is I accidentally kept my cool flute from last raid, and so now I have 2 blue flutes on me.
Whoa.
Kill the zombie up top.
I'm loading stuff off the bookshelves down here. You know, the ending
Fuck
there was a
the
little bit of that
poison.
too.
Oh, we got Wraith through here. Yeah, Wraith's right here. Look at him. I'm gonna kill this archer.
You might.
Oh, I accidentally smacked the fuck out of it.
I'm running.
Oh, did you? No, you
I have to
didn't.
go heal up.
I did.
I'm full health.
Oh,
No, I'm hurt.
Oh, double crossbow. You're fucking joking. Oh, there's a team. There's a team across from us.
I see him.
Yeah.
Get together. Get together. Come to me. Come to me.
Hey, buddy.
Oh yeah, the fighter wants it.
Where's he at? Up top?
Right up here. Yeah, right up here. Yeah, yeah. Oh, warlock.
All right, go, 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 go. They're weakened. They're weakened. They're weakened. Go, go, go,
Come
go,
in.
go.
You were.
They're gonna turn and fight, I think, after he chugs this. Maybe not.
Yeah, they're waiting the debuff out. Just don't get too far ahead. Let it.
Yeah, waiting.
If they turn.
You gonna start casting. Oh,
Yep. Go, go, go.
dead.
Yup. Diced up.
Got quarterstaff
still
on the
weakened.
weight. On the weight. I'm not gonna chimp. I'm not gonna chimp.
He's dead.
Go.
Nice. The fighter looked gear, dude.
Templar armor. Quarterstaff, is that any good?
Yeah, thanks.
Is it?
It can, just depending on the damage and like how good it is. Oops.
I don't need those. No, this one stinks. I think it's like 28 damage.
Yoink that falchion.
It's just a stick. Usually like a quarterstaff has like, you know, I don't know, it's oiled or something. This is like a branch. This has like bark on it still. This thing sucks.
Oh. Yeah, we can go to cavern over here.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm opening up this shit.
Oh, I got hit by
I
that.
like how you don't even use your hands anymore for anything except for like fingering
Oh,
little
wow,
notes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just fluting.
Yeah.
This is why I asked you to do another one. Fucking
Do you want me to move?
no.
Are we going this
No,
way
no.
or?
No. Yeah, we're going this way. I just thought about murdering you for your rings.
Careful for the.
No, I took them off.
Oh, you fuck!
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
ready?
risking those with you, dude. The way you put me around, are you kidding me?
Okay, dude. You wouldn't have those rings without me, pal.
I wouldn't, but you didn't care enough for him. You died.
I let to get you geared, okay? As soon as you drop, you're EP, me and Carlos go make the money. And then we come back to you poor.
Oh. This one's a win. This one's a win, fellas.
What'd you get?
I got the drum.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
I got the drum. I'm gonna test that on this fucking door to make sure I got my throw down. Boom!
It's so fast.
It is. It has no drop too. It drops like I think less than arrows.
That's a hit scan
like,
drum, dude.
Yeah. It's like shooting like a Gauss rifle or something. Take a little sip of this. Do you have like that little heal 'em up song? The little bow afterwards was nice. Where's your
Nice and
fucking
gritty.
clothes? What the hell?
I'm a charlatan. Oh wait. After I do the clap, look at my feet. Look at my feet.
Oh shit. Sorry. What happens to him?
I'll do little kicks. Do my little dance.
Oh, really? I didn't see it. I was in my inventory. Oh, yeah. Oh, do you guys... Can you wait for like 2 seconds? We're good, right?
Widowy.
I forgot to get my NyQuil.
About to hit the greedy. Pop, 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 pop. Getting sturdy.
Aren't these things like the pills that Morpheus has in the movie?
They
looked exactly like just NyQuil and DayQuil.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. If it came out that, or like if it was in like the behind the scenes or whatever, that they're like, yeah, they're actually just NyQuil, DayQuil. Like,
it was
yeah,
just NyQuil, and we.
Oh, there's a team
rubbed
over here. There's a bard.
The logo off of them. Let's see. Hold on, let me open this up.
That doesn't faze me at all that there's a team. I don't even care, honestly. You know, I'm not freaking out.
He's behind this pillar.
Oh, is it just a single bard?
He's not there anymore.
Did he go through the hole? Might have gone through the hole.
Can I throw while crouched?
Surely. No, I don't think he went this way.
Fuck.
Turn it around. Choo choo. Oh no. Oh, the drum. Where'd it go?
Where did it go?
I don't know. Did you throw it in the ceiling? Did you throw it into the rock?
Guys. Hey, he's right here.
Bro.
That fucking he stabbed me and ran.
Was there also a barb? Yeah.
Come here, come here, come here.
I'm gonna appeal to you guys with a. Okay.
Dead.
There we go.
Nice. Rogue on me.
Rogue's still weakened.
He does no damage. He's just.
Oh, I clipped you on top of the head. I'm sorry about that.
He's so fast, I can't get a swing.
I know.
Got him.
No, you didn't.
Got him.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, he's dead.
I don't.
Where the hell did they come from? Were they just hiding somewhere?
Yeah, I think they were just straight up hiding.
Yeah.
He has a
These look like the library gamers.
Escape portal over here potentially.
I hear people.
Escape portal. No?
Yeah, I hear layer queuing. I'm pretty sure and busting up.
We have zone this way, so.
Cool.
Oh, there's a down portal here.
I don't think we're man enough for that.
Oh, they're below us, I think. Like,
oh, wait, we can. I'm gonna drop down on top of him.
Yeah.
There's a down portal right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wait, let's wait for him to go for it.
Let me hit it so I can weaken him.
Oh shit, he's opened it.
Oh, he got out, but he left his boy. You die with me, Cleric.
Get him.
You die with me, Cleric.
Get him. Dice him up.
Damn, your boy left you for done.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, there's
Oh,
another
one,
team.
another one.
Another team, yep.
You're so dumb. You're so dumb right now.
Yeah, actually an idiot. Dice him up. This is just another Cleric.
Respect
He's dead.
the bard. How many times I gotta
So
say it, bro?
dumb.
Is there anybody else here?
Oh, there's no one to the right, I think. I could have sworn I saw one hide. No? Guess not.
There's one portal that I saw down there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's another one in here. Somebody go down there and grab that one.
Oh, I found one. Hey, buddy! There's a fighter here.
You need help with him?
Lettuce, I'm gonna need help.
Oh, where are you?
I'm coming, or actually I'm coming to you.
I was gonna say, I'm nowhere near you guys, so I'm just
Sam's
late.
around.
Is he following you?
Yeah.
Here,
was.
lead him through here. Lead him
No,
through here,
he
yeah.
stopped, he stopped.
Oh, hey, here's my down portal. Later. Ah, yes. This is a good one to tuck myself in on. Am I free to go?
Yeah, I got out.
No.
Oh, nope. I didn't Carlos. Oh, please. Oh, no.
Carlos has it, right?
He's actually so bad.
He's actually so bad. He's hitting the
dumb for
walls.
that, too.
Yep. He's so.
No!
What a pussy. What a fucking
ugly.
loser, dude. You're good. You got time.
If he's
No,
spectating
dude.
me.
Dude, you would have
Fucking
diced
suck,
his ass
bro.
up.
You
Yeah,
fucking suck. I had your fucking number, bro.
Dude, he hit
Think
the wall
twice.
so
Think
many
twice
times.
next time.
That's exactly why I don't want to use Bardiche or the big pole
he
arms. That
actually
guy
got
was
there.
smacking walls left
Yeah, it's
and
rough.
right.
Man,
Awesome games.
Yeah, GG's. It's every day,
So
like
fun.
I said.
Every day.
Every day.
No,
it's
that
every
was
day.
huge gains. Huge gains.
I
Feel like I will not be able to replicate that success on my own later.
Goblin Caves is easier than you think, especially when you get a little bit of
Yeah.
gear.
What is?
Goblin Caves, the solo, you can just farm.
Oh no, the solos. I went in there with the archer and the rogue, and I was loving that during the back when it was on Steam. I haven't tried it now. Did they update it? Is it different?
A little bit.
Yeah.
There's like a worm. It fucking rules.
I've
It gives
seen
you a
the
bunch of
worm.
jewelry.
The
Yeah.
worm
And,
drops rings and shit.
In the other map, the other new one, the surface one. The
Oh, is there
worms
one in the ruin? I didn't know there was a worm in the ruin.
There's like a central room that you can get up on top of these pillars and stuff as the rogue, and I've been doing that a lot. And while I was just sitting up there like the Dark Knight looking at these guys, they walked up and like messed with a statue's hands. And it's like a justice statue that has two hands sticking up. And if you pull the right hand, it makes an elevator drop down, and then there's the worm down there beneath you and a bunch of chests.
What?
And then if you pull the other hand, it makes the other elevator come up. And so, like, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't even realize it was a thing. Do you want to do another one? I can show you exactly where it is. It's fucking weird. I didn't even know it was
Dude,
there.
I mean, I'll go to ruins. I'll do a ruins run.
I'll try. I don't think I've done.
I don't want to keep you up. I know you're tired.
Well, that NyQuil hasn't kicked in yet, so I'm just going to be staring at the ceiling.
Hell yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. You are gonna have to wait for me to add a little extra skill since I leveled up.
Oh, nice. Congrats. Big level 10.
Yeah. Increases
Where are you gonna
AR
go?
acquired by armor by 10%. I don't know. Wait, what does action speed include? Is that just opening doors? Or is that like attack
It's like
speed?
swinging stuff also.
Oh my
Like
god,
your weapon
adrenaline
thing.
spikes seems good.
I lost.
Take that. Whoa, bag it up. There is a removes penalty, speed penalty bullshit. Where'd that go? That seems really good. Swift. Because I feel like my guy's so slow. What am I doing, dude? I think I had the worst loadout of skills, of perks. I think I just had random bullshit that I shouldn't have had.
You're still bopping with it though.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
dude.
Moss.
not about the tools, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. We need to change the map. How do we do that? The ruins. Let's go. Hey, thanks for the what is this? Hold on. Voxic 11. Thanks for the resub for 7 months. And Shaft Daddy Alex, thanks for the resub for 2 months. How do I filter these out and get rid of all the follows so I can just see the real deal? Like Nate as himself sub, thank you. Wake the fuck up, bro. Dude. I'm sick. Alright. Cut me some fucking slack. Hold on. Let me yell at somebody real quick. Hey, Lettuce.
What's up, handsome?
What the fuck is taking you so long?
Oh, my bad. I didn't know. I was just sitting here. I was just waiting for you to change it. You said you had to do something. My fault.
Yeah, by doing something, I'm just talking to Chad or whatever.
Oh, okay. Somebody asked me if a calf tattoo hurts, and I was like, yeah, calf sucks.
Why are you making it so mysterious? yeah. I gotta go do something.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was something important. I was like, oh, we were chilling for a second.
All right.
No. It wasn't anything important. I was just sitting here. All right. I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go take care of some stuff. I have to return some videotapes. I'll be right back. Yeah. Dude, yeah, I'm always fucking sick. I don't know why. I might have like what is that called? HIV? Nah, I don't get enough pussy for HIV. I don't fuck enough dudes for HIV either. God damn, it's sad. Can you get HIV from masturbating?
All right, so I don't know this map at
Yeah.
all. So
Oh
somebody
yeah,
points
hold
this
on. We
way.
need to. Where the fuck are we?
Yeah, you're the commander here. You're boss.
Oh yeah, hold on. I have my wrong screen up too. All right,
Spiders
you
in
see
here?
this room directly north of us?
Yes.
Yeah, no, okay, it looks like that, the room does on the map, but it's not that room.
Okay.
So we need to go... There's a big-ass tower that we need to find. And it's, like, near there. I'll be able to find it. Oh, yeah, it's south. We're good. Follow my, follow my. Ow. Yep, come through here.
Ow, bitch.
Wait, this is where the cockatrice might be. I don't know if you want to kill it.
Cockatrice?
Was that you yelling?
Yeah.
Dude, I love the double swings you can do.
Like the second swing and shit.
No, like I can swing and hit two people with one swipe.
Oh yeah, like the cleave.
Oh,
yeah.
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 That's my whole
Oh yeah,
man,
the
dude.
cockatrice is here. I hear it clucking.
I've never dealt with this thing. in
It's
my
right.
life.
It freezes you, dude. Come here. This is the strat. Follow me. Follow me.
Oh.
All right. Over here, you can jump up on top of this,
Yeah.
and then should be able to crouch jump unless something goes horrifically wrong. And then I'll go aggro it. Oh wait, what about this one? This one's got boxes. Here, get up on this one.
Oh, you can probably do this.
Lettuce, hop up here. Get up on them boxes. I'm telling you, this thing's crazy, man.
Is it like good? Is it scary? What's it?
Yeah, I'm curious to watch this.
It can do some sort of tomfoolery where it turns you into stone.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm bringing it, don't worry.
How fast is it?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hey, buddy.
I'm gonna hit it with the weekend.
Well.
It-
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Well,
As long as it doesn't hit me with the,
ow. Okay.
Oh, not that bad. It didn't even hit us with the stone thing. It can turn you to stone.
Scary.
And then it just
is it
beats
guarding
you
anything
up.
good?
No,
No.
not really. You left the hound skull and everything?
I
You're
can't
crazy.
use any of that. That's all you.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't use these boots?
No, they have magic damage on them.
I thought that could be applied to me in some way. I guess we can. Okay, and from here we go
Yeah, where's
west.
the juice?
We're going west. This is the worm.
Oh yes.
Welcome to the worming zone, fellas. Prepare to worm.
I want to do the worm.
Also, on these little banisters, there's like emeralds and stuff.
Fuck.
All right, see this thing. Wait, no, it's not this one. It's this one. The statue right here. Activate lever. You touch its hand, and then this thing
Oh, I
opens up.
almost fell on that.
Yeah, let's kill all these first. Watch out behind you. All right, let me warn you. These are confined spaces with a big worm.
Okay,
Got
hold
it.
on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, lettuce is already in.
I'm following him. Okay.
I just do worm stuff, dude.
Yeah, I'm following the guy that's chipping out.
This
you know?
is not the worm I thought it was.
This is a different.
What?
Is this
Yeah,
a different
definitely
worm?
not the worm. This is definitely not the same worm. Yep.
This one's like trimmers, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Whoa, this is kind of neat. I like this.
Yeah. Oh. Try not to hit. Did I hit you or did it?
No, he hit me. He wormed me. No, that wasn't bad.
Wormed.
That was. I've never killed that.
Oh,
one.
nice
Wow,
loot
that's it?
though. Huge loot.
Come on, man.
All right, dude.
I left, dude.
I promised you guys epic shit, and
It's Garden of Lion's Head though. Over here, Carlos.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a Lion's Head right here. At least it's that.
Let me look through it. This is not for greed. This is because I have bardic luck.
Good to see you. Salute.
Gonna ass anyway.
Actually, those.
Hey, thanks for the- what was
those
that,
are good
sub?
for just for armor rating if you want some.
thank you.
I guess it has will though, so
Oh,
probably not.
What is it?
Just armor rating.
It's rawhide, but
What happens if we pull this lever? What does that do?
Do it. Oh, is that? Oh, it's the elevator.
We stand on it and then we do it again.
Fancy, dude.
whoa,
us.
dynamic loot. Oh,
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
This way.
oh yeah, I
Hey,
see.
can you pay a
bard
little
and a
heal 'em
fighter.
up? A little heal 'em up shanty?
Stay near me.
Oh yeah, they want the smoke. Hey, no, yeah, you say Barb and a fighter?
Yeah. All right, get in there.
He's dead.
Fuck.
Nope. I can't see shit.
I know.
Here, I light the way.
I got
You
one.
are dead.
You got the other. Wait, this guy. No, wait, that guy's dead. Dude, the debuffs are insane just because we can see them. Like, I bet
know.
you, we were probably pretty hard to see. Well, actually, we all had the shields and stuff on.
Yeah, we have other stuff.
Yeah,
Glowing
but
on
we
us,
have
but-
positive stuff. They had negative stuff on them.
I gotta start remembering to do the other flute spell, which is -3 stats.
Huh.
It's this one.
Sorry to sneeze.
Takes a little longer to
Negative
cast.
3 stats seems
like
pretty
a-
substantial.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. Do you mind if I take this? It's a battle axe. Does 49 damage,
No, it's all you, dog.
and it has interaction speed increases.
Yeah, that's all you, G.
I didn't. Is this thing even good? Let's see what the move set is. Yo, that thing looks like it would fuck somebody up. Hold on, let me get this one. Oh, no, I can't do it in one
Team
hit.
effort. You loosened it up.
What about this door? Fuck. How come I can't
Right
break
here.
them down like you?
Yeah, I hear a rogue right here. And a ranger. Yep. They're just trying to zone us out.
Hit that door.
Get
Dude.
after him. Yeah, just get after him.
Can you put a trap down? Careful.
Did he?
Yeah, I heard him put one
Get to
down.
the left.
Yeah, it's to the left. You're ugly. I'm giving speed
There's
to
like
follow me.
multiple ways in. Why don't we just go in this way?
Alright, follow Sam. Follow Sam.
Wait, he's at this one as well. See if
Probably
we pull
place
him
him
down.
down.
I don't see
Oh no,
one.
he's going for the out portal. He's trying to leave. Oh, see. Oh, his boy left him, dude.
There's another team coming this way, I think.
This guy's fast.
Yeah, he is.
He's a speedy boy.
He's weak.
I'm gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna beat his ass.
Yeah, get out
Oh.
of here. Get out of here, squirt.
Oh, okay, dude. Oh no, he fucking
Another
got me.
team fighter.
Uh-oh, are we fucked? Oh, wait, no, that's a naked fighter. Where'd you
Yeah,
go,
he's
Lotus?
Right here, where the rogue is. Just jump back, dog.
I got him with the backswing.
Oh,
What do you have
ooh.
on him? Nothing.
Good? Nothing.
He had a wolf pelt. And a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, team right here. Oh, they're fighting another team trying to leave. I'm waiting for you guys. They're gonna kill
I'm
this
coming,
one.
I'm
I'm gonna let him
coming.
kill him. No way, he lives that, right? Okay. Oh, and he just diced up his boy. Yeah, he fucking fucked his friend.
And then that guy left. The guy with the least amount of gear just
still
walked
more.
out.
I killed a rogue out there.
Oh, did you kill the one through here?
There was one that was hiding before y'all engaged that I killed. He might have left if there's another one.
Let's.
Hold on, give me 1 second while I loot this dude.
Are you looting back into the zone?
Can't find his body.
Do you need
Nah, I'm good.
here? You need health pots or anything?
I have 1. I'm fine.
I've got more than one.
There's no down on ruins, right? Like down
You know,
portals?
I've
so.
never noticed that. Is
I
there
haven't
no
seen
down?
it on the feed yet.
I usually don't live long enough to go. Oh no, that makes sense because you're like the whole point of what's beneath this is the regular
it's
crypt
goes to the
level.
dungeon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we got 1 down portal right here. Yeah, because this is floor
Oh,
1. This is supposed to be the easiest.
a three-person
three-person.
escape.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, this is supposed to be
Alright,
the
well.
easiest floor. That's right. Oh, yo, Rogue right here.
You guys got him right.
Yeah, he's got the zone on the other side. I don't know what he's gonna plan to do here.
I think I hear him.
Oh, there's an archer.
Lettuce, come on. He's got to take your fucking
know where he
portal,
is.
man.
Oh, did you find the 3-person? I'm coming.
Yeah.
My fault. Yeah, we can just dip.
Here, I'll start opening it. All right, everybody go through.
Oh, yeah, I still see him over there.
Get over still.
Dude, he's just gonna run by you. You're gonna look like a
Lettuce?
fool when he takes it. You're gonna look like a fool.
Gotta look.
Now
See
he
the life,
dies.
the hope leave his eyes.
Yeah, I wanted to watch him suffer. Know that it was the end for him. Oh, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go?
He's got nothing, man.
Oh, where are you gonna go? My Slit Stinks is a banger name, though.
Yeah.
Bodied. GG's.
That was neat.
Those are
Right
damn
back.
good games, guys.
Pretty good game.
Oh, yeah,
Little
you
round of
Sam?
applause. Very nice.
You going to bed?
He's getting small.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking bed, dude. I'm laying down. It is lay down time.
All right, I'm gonna go grab my food. I'll be right back. Good night, Sam. Thanks for playing.
Good night.
Yeah, keep us updated. Please don't die in your sleep.
I'll be fine, dude. I'll be
Yeah, you're
fine.
good. You're Florida tough.
All right, later. Awesome. What a group of guys. What a couple nice fellas. Oh. How you guys doing though? You guys doing good? Really sorry about not playing that Tarkov. I don't think I can muster it unless there's some insane idea I come up with. Really has to be a doozy for me to get on there instead of my next game. I think might be Baldur's Gate, which I might be playing alone. I don't know, but I think I might play it solo. I tried playing it with Poob and Brian, and I couldn't. I just could not. There was too many hands on the steering wheels. You said anything's better in Dark and Darker? You're fucking absolutely out of your mind. You are doped out of your fucking gourd, son. What is wrong with you? Yeah. You don't get the appeal of what, Dark and Darker? What do you mean? It's just like Tarkov, but without the frustrating bits. You get into a game quick. The rounds are short. You pick shit up off the ground. If you die, you die. If you live, you get out with it. It's the exact same thing. Except for it encourages people to fight instead of Tarkov, where it's kind of meandering in its own way. Yeah, it's like Tarkov, but without cheaters. I think is really the appeal most people have. And just how quick it is. What would we do? Like fucking 10 raids in a 3-hour period? How long have I been live? 2 hours and 15 minutes. How many raids did we do? We did a shitload. I bet you if I was playing Tarkov, we would have gotten four raids in maybe. Yeah. I think you need to do exit camping and dark and darker. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you know that room that the worm was in, not like the drop down part, but above where the worm was. That room, if you're playing rogue and you have double jump, you can get up on all those like Pantheon looking walls, the ruins right there. You can get up on the walls of them, and then you're like 40 feet above people, and you can just look down on them. They're like little ants. And later on, the blue portals start popping up, and you get to jump down on them when they think they're getting out. Pew! Stab them in the back, loot their shit. Your exit portal's right there. There's also a health altar in the same room, and people will go in there and they'll sit there and try to use that thing to heal up, and you can stab them in the back from above. Yeah, you do get to watch just like everybody fight.
Rat stuff this weekend. Hope you and the family are doing well. Calmed my 2-month-old with your Kenshi vids, so thanks for that one LMAO.
Oh, thank you. You know what my kid's been getting into recently? She just discovered what the fuck a volcano was. And so now she's like, instead of a bedtime book, I'll show her like we found like this 4-hour ASMR of like lava flows and volcano footage. And she'll just watch like volcanoes blowing up and shit. Which is pretty funny. And she's like, "Whoa, look at that lava!" And then there's a Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog makes he made a documentary called like, God, what was like Belly of Fire or some shit. It has like some name like that. At the Door of Hell. I don't know. It's some fucking crazy ass Werner Herzog documentary title, and it's about these people that were volcano scientists or whatever, and the footage in that is fucking horrifying. We went from watching, it's called Into the Inferno, yeah. We were watching the ASMR lava flow, which I think a lot of that footage was captured in Hawaii during those lava flows, and very peaceful, very serene, very calming. And then after we like watched that, it turned around and did like Into the Inferno shots compilation, and it was the opposite. Like that documentary really captures like the ferocity and just unforgiving nature of just how the earth works. Because it's just like, I don't know, it's something about the way that they do the framing, where there's these people in little tinfoil suits, and then the background is just 100% lava bursting up from the ground. It just looks horrifying. It's like and the music he uses is always like weird ambient shit, and it's fucking creepy. It's just a creepy guy. If you don't know who Werner Herzog is, he's done a bunch of shit, but he's recently, I think he was distinguished for the longest time for being one of the only filmmakers that's made a film on every continent. And he's pretty famous, but he has like that one that you guys might know where it's that penguin documentary, and that one penguin gets scared by the filmmakers at this base camp in Antarctica or whatever. And they and the way that penguins are is they kind of like made up for life and stuff, but if they sense danger, sometimes a penguin will turn around and like try to lead the danger away from the group. It's like a sacrifice. And Werner Herzog's there with his fucking crazy German voice, and he's just talking about this penguin. It's a penguin documentary. It's supposed to be happy. And he's just describing this penguin that's decided to walk off into oblivion. And it's walking just like into just an entire continent of ice. There's nothing out there for like 2,000 miles. And this fucking creepy music's playing. And it's honestly one of the saddest things I've ever watched in my life. I've seen a lot of live leak footage growing up, but that fucking video, I don't know why it haunts me. You feel like you're listening to the podcast right now? Yeah. I think I'm talking more on this than I do the podcast. For the most part. Yeah. Yeah, dude, no, I could you say a noble sacrifice. I could see Werner Herzog saying that. A noble sacrifice. No, wait, how's he talk? Hello, I am Werner Herzog. He has like a very God, you know who can do an insane Herzog impression? Is Freddie Wong. He does a really good one. But Werner has I don't know, he has like a teethiness to the way he talks. See if I can find this clip. YouTube. Werner Herzog. Penguin. Oh, it's like the most famous clip. Nihilist Penguin. Yeah. Can I show this on Twitch? They don't give a fuck, do they? They don't fucking care. How do I show this without getting in trouble? I don't have any. Nothing bad's open. I think we're good. I think we're good, fellas. Holy fuck. What am I doing? Why is that showing everything? You don't have to show everything, actually, dude. You can keep some of this out. Thanks, boss man. Okay. I chose the lamest way of doing this. What am I doing here? How did I fuck this up? I'm going to the face cam one. So you can do it like a normal person. Bingo. Okay. I have to be able to make sure you guys can hear this. Hold on. This is important. I have it set to this for some other reason. No, that's Google Chrome. Where's Opera? We'll do system. Okay. Let's watch this awesome
to
ad.
show up. Learn more at
With these old people.
hcfloridahealthcare.com.
Dr. Ainley, is there such thing as insanity
What's this
among
shit?
penguins? I try to avoid a definition of insanity or derangement. I don't mean that a penguin might believe he or she is Lenin or Napoleon Bonaparte. But could they just go crazy because they've had enough of their colony?
Well, I've never seen a penguin bashing its head against a rock. They do get disoriented. They end up in places they shouldn't be, long way from.
Before this goes on, this is a fucking penguin documentary. You're expecting good vibes. fucking horrific. Literally ruins my. There's another video too of like, if you've ever heard, it's the last call of a dying species, and it's this dude. It's a bird. It's not a dude, but I mean it's a male bird, and it's a recording of him, and he's doing a call. And these birds are they're known to do duets, where the male does a call and then the female does a call back. And it's a recording of just his half. And he's the last of his species. And he's sitting up there calling out to a mate that's never gonna call back to him. And now I'm gonna go lay down in bed and think about these two things and be sad. I'll talk to you guys later. Should I raid somebody? Now that I've gotten you guys in a nice, low, depressed mood, do you guys want to be raided somewhere? Let's take this fucking negative, shitty energy and bring it into someone else's stream. That's what I'm talking about. I want you guys to think about the worst shit that's happened to you in a long time. Take all that energy, roll it into the next dude. Let's see here. Who do we got? Who's on the chopping block? We got Germa. What a guy. But he's already made it. Wubby. What a guy. He's already made it. Then there's Lettuce Sucks. That's the guy I was just playing with. That's an obvious choice. I think I might go with Lettuce Sucks. I think I might go with Lettuce Sucks. He did me a solid and stream with me. So I might as well, right? Hey, I can hear myself. Nice. I got to hear my own burp. Awesome. Raid, Lettuce Sucks. Anyways, thanks for showing up, guys. And when I get on the mend, I hope to be back editing and streaming like a whirling dervish. I've just felt like shit for like 4 days. Anyways, I'm out. Later. Wait, that didn't work. I started the raid. Now's when I would do that. Or possibly, I think I have an end screen.